It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, March 21st. Van Halen's Running with the Devil on the short list of all-time greatest first song on the first side of a first album. You got Led Zeppelin, Good Times, Bad Times.
Yep.
You got Break On Through by the Doors. Off the top of my head, there are plenty more. But Running with the Devil, I mean, think about it. First, who's this new band? Put this on, Drop the Needle. That's the first song you hear. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. How long until this band runs the planet? And in the case of Van Halen, it wasn't very long at all. I have no insight or personal actual information into how the members of Van Halen have handled their affairs over the years, but I did just see an article about Van Halen being offered boatloads of money for the catalog. We've seen artists bundling their publishing, their songwriting, their performance streams, everything. You know, Bruce Springsteen sold his catalog for $500 million. The word on the street is Queen is going to sell for $1 billion. You hear these stories all the time. Crazy amounts of money going for aging artists' catalogs. Van Halen has been offered the moon, and Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar are like, nah, we're good. They have both said not interested.
They don't need to.
No interest at all. Sammy Hagar goes, I don't want to see right now in a Burger King commercial. That's kicking it. That's a page out of the 90s playbook right there. I'm not selling out.
Not bad.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, here it is.
Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll in the Cadillac commercial was the coolest thing that ever happened, okay? That was right to me. That was right. It wasn't just about money. That just felt right. So there's things that can be done right and wrong. So I would never lose control of my catalog, and I would never lose control of my music and my life and all that.
This is the clip I wanted to play. That's kind of a follow-up to this one.
If someone was interested, which they are, they have to be a partner. If you want to get in business with us and exploit our catalog and make sure our songs are in commercials or in movies or just giving it exposure because it deserves exposure. You have to be careful. Mike and I haven't done it yet, and we're talking to people. People are talking to us. It really depends on what they want to do with your stuff. And if you still have control over what they do with it.
I would hate to hear right now in a Burger King commercial.
There you go, Michael Anthony.
I want a Whopper right now.
That's exactly. Yeah, you know what? That's so funny because I was like, I wonder what do you mean in a Burger King commercial? You just wrote the jingle.
Yeah, right.
It fits anything.
What do you care? What do you want to sell it to?
You guys want some Burger King? Sure. When do you want to go? Right now. Hey, have it your way. Man. That's pretty great. He referenced the Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll in the Cadillac ad.
Yeah,
I remember from that there was a considerable down payment, but then also they figured out some sort of formula where the car the specific line of car for Cadillac that the Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin appeared in, Led Zeppelin got back end on the increased sales over the next 24 months. They were like, let's see if this actually helps. If this helps you sell more cars, we get a cut. And of course, Cadillac was like, whatever you want, Led Zeppelin. And I don't know how much they got for it, but I remember that was reported at the time anyway.
Yeah.
That they were like, well, yeah, we'll do this, but it seems to me like they were almost skeptical. No one's going to listen to Rock and Roll and then go buy a Cadillac.
Well,
but I have a feeling a few people did. There was a couple. There were more than a few insurance agents out there who were like, honey, you might think I'm crazy, but I need a Cadillac right now.
I don't even know why, but I need one right now.
That's it, right now. So I guess, well, that's good for Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony that they're in a position where they can literally just say, hold on, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, neither one of those guys is sweating it when, let's say, when their water heater unexpectedly goes sideways. Sorry, Brian, I know it's a tough subject for you right now. Is everything okay?
Man. Everything's just fine, and I think goodness I cohabitate with a very paranoid person. I didn't even know you could insure such things, but apparently this thing isn't even that old. But
yeah,
and I did when you're kind of, you're a little tense, something like this happens, and I make the call and I go, yeah, man, this thing just exploded. It exploded. Then you should call 911. Mm-hmm. What? You should call 911. It exploded. I said, well, I mean, it didn't explode and blow out the basement or anything like that. He said it burst. I said, I'm sorry. Is this what we're doing right now? Are we doing this right now? Are you correcting me on exploding versus bursting?
Semantics battle.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And he said, that's exactly what we're doing right now.
But all is well. I mean, it's one of those things. I had been, Marie had been traveling, and I've been known to, not to follow hygiene to its highest form when Maria's on the road. I'm putting on the sweats, and I'm getting a little ripe. Yesterday was going to be shower day. We've extended that to Friday, however.
Okay. All right.
Couldn't get a sponge bath out of it. Trained nurse, you'd think, it would just come naturally, but not happening. But all is well. But it's a pain. There's cleanup, and then there's the phone calls, and then there's the heating the water up and everything like that.
Is there such thing? Is there ever an opportune time for an unexpected home ownership crisis? I said earlier, oh man, what an inopportune thing. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. When is it opportune?
Mm-hmm.
When is it ever?
Right.
There was those unexpected, oh my God, you're kidding me right now, things that happen to all of us. We had one a couple weeks ago, but there was an opportune time for something bad to happen, and here it was. Chauncey, our dog, by the way, all of our unexpected costs of the last 6 years are around that damn dog. We love him to death, but man, is he a piece of work.
Don't add it up.
No, believe me, I started to last week, and Rosemary looked, she was like, stop. Think of the love. Think of the unadulterated, completely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unconditional.
Thank you. Jeez, there's conditions clearly from this guy. Unconditional love. I said, you're right. But here was the funniest thing. So what happened was Chauncey lunged out into the street. He did not get hit by a bus. He hit a bus. A school bus ran over his back paw. He had to have surgery to repair his ankle. There was a ligament situation. He's got a bolt in his foot now. He's going to be fine as far as that goes. But only Chauncey Gorman could be the guy who got jumped out and had a bus run over his foot as we were walking to go take him to the vet to deal with his diarrhea. So that was opportune. Now the bills that have come in since, hardly opportune. But it was literally, it's time to take him to the vet. He'd had diarrhea for like 4 days. And I'm like, all right, let me walk him out just to get him one last pee. And that's when it happened. So it was like, well, we're already on our way to the vet anyway. So at least he was thinking about it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I know we've all got those. Wait, now you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Now that I'm opening that rabbit hole, I can see myself tumbling down. Right. Ooh, boy. You're right. Don't add it up. It's just rough, man.
I got an oil change yesterday. Found out I have to get new tires.
Oh,
what a nice surprise.
Are you
Always
serious?
fun, isn't it? I know now you're in that.
Oh, my God.
You're in that no man's land, because whenever someone tells me I need new tires in the spring, I'm thinking, well, come on, man. It's spring. New tires are for fall. That's for winter weather. I can keep these suckers going, but you're a family man, and you're hauling the kids around, precious cargo, and it starts to wear on you. You're like, well, I don't, when we were kids, we're like, well, when it blows out and I'm sitting on the side of the road, I guess I'll get a new tire. Unexpected expenses. We might keep this rolling here about 6:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March 21st. We were talking about unexpected expenses, things that just happen as a homeowner, or in Tony's case, a car owner. What'd you say? You went in for an oil change, and you leave having to think about new tires.
Right. Now think about it. I have to do it.
Well, yeah.
What a nice surprise. Who asked you?
Yeah, credit cards are for you guys. What you're complaining?
I know. They always say you're supposed to set up an emergency fund for when these things happen. I think about it. I often think I'm going to do that, but then my emergency fund is like, I have to take an emergency 3-day weekend to go hiking, or camping, or something fun. An emergency fund, what? To get a new dirt bike? You bet. And so when these things come around, they always seem to catch you off guard.
my son was in Los Angeles for the fall semester. He's a college student, and so he drove his. We road tripped his car out to L.A. So you can't be in L.A. without a car.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's not like that's real. Like you're just on the road all the time out there. And he's got an old, a 10-year-old Toyota Corolla still running strong. But before the trip, this is last summer. We're getting ready to do the big road trip, and I'm the 2 days before. I just finally take a look, and I'm like, I don't think we've changed the tires in like ever. And then I'm like, get the penny out. They're like, if you could still see Abe Lincoln's head or whatever. I was like, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like a straight flat surface. I was like, hang on, bud. We might.
Yeah.
Let me call a couple tire shops. And I was like, God, just right at the last second. Glad I thought of it then, as opposed to somewhere between Little Rock and Dallas when all the tires exploded, which certainly would have happened. I mentioned that Chauncey's responsible for a lot of unexpected expenses. Right after we moved to Minnesota, like with the first month, he got pneumonia, and we're overnight at the ER at the University of Minnesota, vet campus over there. Like, oh, you got to be kidding me! But I'm reminded every time I'm back at our in Nashville. During COVID, we're in lockdown early in the pandemic. It was an awful time, but it was also like, hey, we're all here, the four of us, and we had 2 dogs at the time, and we're just in the house like day in and day out. And for a little while, we were trying to find the charm in that before we all went crazy. But it was early on one morning, and we had made breakfast like as a family, which we hadn't done since the kids were little. It was one of those like, hey, all right, we're all in here having breakfast, and then we clean up the kitchen, and we're all sort of in the back of the house, and then we just heard the unmistakable sound of a window shattering up front, and we're like, what the? And me and Connell, we run to the front. Chauncey, in the kitchen at our house, there's like a little window seat, and it's got it's an old house, and the windows there are the kind, I don't even know what they're called. There's like a latch, you open up 2 tiny little sliver rectangular windows, and then you look out over the screen, and whatever it is, it's an old antiquated style of window that we found out is impossible to replace without breaking the bank. But Chauncey was just in the window seat looking out and saw some squirrels.
Oh, of
and
course.
took his front paw and thought, maybe I'll just break through this window. And he literally just, and not only did he shatter a window, now he's bleeding all over the place.
Right.
And I'm like, what the? And, got off to the vet, wrap it up, the whole thing. And that went literally, we got to get this window fixed. And then as it turns out, no, we didn't. Because it's just not worth it. It's sealed off. It's probably got a better security than any actual window in the house now, but it's not got the glass pane and the kind of old wood. And believe me, it's not like a nice. Oh, it's an amazingly cool old house. No, it's just a money pit. Just the house is falling apart, and we're just like, who cares? We're just too tired to mess with it. It's 3 years that we've not touched that window. It's boarded up, and that's just how it's going to stay.
Fine.
And in blue tape, one of the kids just put a big letter C there, so we'd always know who's responsible for that unsightly broken window in the kitchen.
Wow. Yeah, no, you don't want to have that Christmas argument. No, I don't know. Well, C could be Connell.
Well, it certainly could be. That's very true.
People drive by and wonder what that secret code is for.
That's exactly right.
This dog needs to start.
It's hobo sign language, like these guys have extra bacon.
You got to be able to make some. You got to make some money off this dog. Get him a job. Have him start contributing. What? I don't know what he can get. Can he smell drugs?
No, oh God, no. But I tell you, what he can do is
sled puller.
He can make a mess of anyone's life. If you know what, if you just want to, make someone's life a little more uncomfortable. If you want to be a distraction. If you want somebody to be off their game, just send them Chauncey for a couple days.
Oh, you know what? There might be something there because here's what I'm thinking. You have a young couple or maybe a family that wants a dog, and you're like, well, I don't quite know if we want a dog or not. But say dad doesn't want the dog. You could rent him out to families.
Yeah.
And say, all right, well, tell you what, we're going to dog sit this dog named Chauncey, and if everything works out well, then I'll go ahead and get the family a dog, and then just watch chaos ensue. Yeah. At the end of the week, people are going to be like, give the dog back to the Gormans. We're not interested anymore. We'll just get a fish.
because he is, as you guys all know, he's the sweetest guy in the world. And the initial, when you're just hanging out with him, there's no one you want to spend time with. Take him home and get back to me tomorrow. That's all I got to say. That dude is absolute menace. There's going to be, I would imagine there's going to be some unexpected costs incurred in Minnesota over the next few days, because apparently here it comes, baby. We got one of two snowstorms rolling in, late overnight tonight into tomorrow. Fairly fast-moving system, 2 to 5 inches expected, at least here in the Twin Cities. Other parts of the state are going to get more. Some will get less. But then on the weekend, Saturday to Sunday, there will be even more coming in. So, somebody out there surely is going to wake up Monday and go, oh, my God, I got to pay for this now, because that's just what happens.
Well, it's the boys' basketball tournament, right? Isn't it the basketball or is the hockey tournament every year? But it's tournament season.
You got men and women and college. Yeah, you got all of it going on. So just another great reason. Because of the snowstorm, you can hold off on that vasectomy. You have a reason to stay in and watch basketball all day long.
Unless you've got to head off to the state basketball tournament.
Well, there's that.
Travel with the family. That's always the thing. It's March. They hold these things in March, and families have to get to and fro, coming in from out of state, out of the metro area, all over the state. And here comes the snowstorm. Yeah, they say Sunday is going to be the whopper. Thursday is just sort of a primer. A primer, just remember how this works, and then Sunday could be a bigger one. This thing's almost going to be nationwide.
Seems to be, but a little bit. It's a time delay situation. It's late March. We haven't had any snow. Let's just go ahead and just batten down the hatches and see what happens. I'm all for it. I'm going to continue to stay. I'm waving the flag of bring it on. I know. Sorry, I'm still a newbie.
It's time for you to go.
Second season. Okay, fine, Candace. Maybe I will.
I was just kidding, but leave Chauncey if you do.
Okay. Not a difficult decision at all. We can FaceTime with him, and then you can clean up all the snot. That'll work just fine for us.
No snowstorms out in Hollywood. Mike Evans checking in with that Hollywood report here. Pretty quick. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. I'm just going to go lay down two pieces of information for you. Western Kentucky over Marquette. James Madison over Wisconsin. There.
No.
You heard it here first. What?
I chose Wisconsin.
That was a mistake.
Oh,
crap.
You idiot.
I just chose the teams based off places I like to go.
Yeah.
Well, you've clearly never been to Harrisonburg,
No, I
Virginia.
haven't.
God's country, for
Is
God's
it?
sakes. Oh, it's the Shenandoah Valley. You could do a lot worse, Candace. Talk to me before you fill out
Crap.
next year's bracket. All right, let's head west, crappers. All right, crappers, it's time for crap time. Go to the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the lovely Candace, Steve, and Zepp, and Tony. This report brought to you by Marcus Theaters. We'll have movie reviews tomorrow, and don't forget, the only place to see a movie is Marcus Theaters. Great seats, great movies, great everything at Marcus. Well, we start off with a love nugget. When Ariana Grande arrived on the scene at the age of 17, she insisted she would never get married unless she was positive it would work. I think most of us think that. But anyway, she waited 10 years, but at the age of 27, she married Dalton Gomez, a real estate dude. It lasted 2.5 years. Gomez, I hear, wanted alimony, but instead I hear Ariana Grande gave him $1.2 million just to get the divorce final, and it is final. Well, I predicted it months ago. Jennifer Lopez and that very weird video, This Is Me, that, along with her single and her album, both bombing, Jennifer Lopez has announced she will be cutting her summer concert tour short. Well, no surprise, weak ticket sales. What Jennifer really needs is a really good movie. I mean, find a great script, J-Lo. That's what you need to get back on top. TV ratings, surprise. After all the numbers were crunched for Oscar week, the Oscars actually did better than originally thought. The top 5 shows watched that week. Number 5, Young Sheldon, 6,500,000 viewers. Number 4, The FBI, 7,200,000 viewers. Number 3, live from the red carpet, the Oscars, 7,300,000 viewers. Number 2, ABC World News with David Muir, 7,800,000 viewers. And the Oscars was number 1, 19,400,000 viewers. But come on, man. A couple of weeks earlier, there was this thing. The Super Bowl, 123,400,000 viewers. I don't understand this weird workout guru, Richard Simmons, basically. He kind of like disappeared years ago. Then he reappeared earlier this week with a notice on his social media that he was dying. Then the next day, he contributed to a cancer, a small basal skin cancer. Well, that doesn't kill you. You just ask Hugh Jackman and Christy Brinkley and Khloe Kardashian and Melanie Griffith and Terry Bradshaw and Diane Keaton and Caitlyn Jenner and Andy Cohen and many, many others, including yours truly. A lot of people have small skin cancers, basal skin cancers. Hopefully that's the only thing wrong with Richard, and he's not really dying. And sports shorts, get ready. March Madness starts today, really starts today. The Dodgers won the first game of the season yesterday. Boy, I can't wait for the Twins to start playing. And the streamer Peacock will be carrying the Olympics thanks to NBC. Tomorrow, movie reviews and a pop quiz, a rare pop quiz question. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, see you.
The Mike Evans Hollywood Report. I have to share a text. My buddy, I got a buddy listening to the show. He just texted me. If J-Lo met Travis and Taylor at a Marcus Theater to watch the Bob Marley movie, would Mike Evans spontaneously combust? Oh, come on. It's funny. What are you going to do? Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what we're going to do right now, as it's that time of day. We're going to learn a little something. It is March 21st, which means it is 54 years to the day since Vinko Bogataj became a legend in his own time. Who's Vinko Bogataj? Well, he's Yugoslavian, and if you are of a certain age, you will know exactly who he is when you hear this little audio drop from ABC's Wide World of Sports. Vinko Bogataj. Set to go down the ski jump. Not the thrill of victory.
Oh, that guy.
And the agony of defeat.
Oh, you can see him, can't you? Just flying off that ski jump.
His helmet flying off.
Vinko Bogataj. It was on this day in 1970. Third run of the day. Lost control, slipped on the ice. And, of course, as you just heard, that is the video that is synonymous with the words, the agony of defeat. Amazingly, he escaped with only a mild concussion.
Wow. Yeah, just you go limp.
Yeah. For the 25th anniversary of the Wide World of Sports, ABC flew Vinko Bogataj to New York City. He could not fathom the fact that he was an icon in the United States of America because of that. He had no idea that anybody remembered that crash. At the time, he was a 38-year-old factory worker. He was like, I'm just, kind of guess I got to get used to this. I mean, it's cool to be famous for a minute, I guess.
It's national embarrassment back home, but here in America, you don't have to buy yourself a drink.
Oh, hell no. I'd high-five the guy if I ran into him.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March the 21st. Let's see what we have here. I believe 1 hour from now or so, we are going to be giving away some tickets. About 8 o'clock. Chris Stapleton tickets. That's right. You want to stay tuned and find out how you can put yourself in the running for Chris Stapleton tickets. If you're on your way to work, maybe you, like many of your cohorts in the area on their way to work, are already coming up with your excuse because you're late. Happens all the time. You may be able to say, but you can only get away with this like maybe once. Oh, sorry, my hot air balloon crashed.
I know,
which
man.
happened yesterday in Rochester between 40th Street Southeast and 48th Street Southeast. A crash, a hot air balloon went into a power line right alongside the highway. Highway 63. It then led to a pretty decent-sized fire, but there's video. An MDOT camera has just crystal clear image. It's kind of harrowing to see. Now, there were 3 people in the hot air balloon, 2 reported minor injuries. That part's lucky. But this bad boy was drifting across Highway 63, snags a power line, and boy, it's just crazy to see. There was a gust of wind. They kind of lost control. Kind of scary. If you were in that hot air balloon, just happy you're still with us, because it looks way worse than apparently it actually turned out to be.
Never been in a plane crash yet. But here's what I can tell you about a hot air balloon coming down, which I've told the story too many times on the air, working for another radio station. Wouldn't it be wacky to send Zepp up in a hot air balloon? The scoop was it crashed in a cornfield. But here's what I will tell you about a hot air balloon crash and being in the basket. It happens real slow. You get lots of time to think. A plane's got to be like, oh, my God, I can't believe everyone's dead. Something like that, Maybe you've got some terror if you're up there at 35,000 feet and it starts to come down. But with a hot air balloon, you have a long time to panic, and run the scenarios through your head. So I'm glad everyone's all right. But, and then a gust of wind, that's the other thing. It's not like you can gas it and hit the flaps or whatever they do and pull the nose out of it. It's the wind comes by and, here we go, going down.
Oh, man.
I have absolutely no desire to ever go in a hot air balloon, ever.
Well, it's amazing to be up there, because unlike being in a plane in the windows, or even if you're in an open cockpit, did you get that? That was Tony playing a sound effect.
Really realistic.
A Sopwith camel. Anyway, it's peaceful. I mean, except for when they fire the jet. There isn't a sound effect for you. When they fire the jets, it gets a little loud. But otherwise, you're just floating in air. It's pretty amazing experience, and I got to believe, very safe, because we don't talk about this very often.
How high up are you?
I don't think we went very high, to be honest with you. I'm going to guess like maybe 5,000 feet. I'm just pulling that out of my butt. It was a while ago.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, you're up there, but you're not like at 20,000 feet or something like that.
No,
we didn't do it.
Depending on, I know there's limits when you're near an airport. There's got to be like, you can't get within 5 miles, and you've got to stay below 3,000 feet. There's all these basic rules. I got a buddy in Birmingham, Alabama, who's a hot air balloon enthusiast. His father, in fact, patented the motor, the engine, the gas fire, the hot air, the thing that serves the hot air up, that thing with the flame, the device that everybody for 40 plus years has used, like the most popular version, his dad invented. So they are hot air ballooning family, if you will. Right. My buddy Lee, and he said, like, when you get up in a hot air balloon, you just get up to 3,000 feet, and like he has said, like, I'll just come up to Nashville in the balloon. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
Do you have to file a report with somebody? He goes, no, you just follow along the interstate. You just kind of eyeball your way around at a certain altitude. It's perfectly legal. You don't have to call it in. It's not like an airplane where you have to log in where you're going to go and when. You just get up and go.
I didn't ask a lot of questions when I was in this balloon, or none that I remember, but how do you... You're just going where the wind's going. It's a balloon, right? What if the wind's not following the interstate? What if there's a sudden gust? And, well, I guess, meet me out here. Instead of Nashville, I'll be in Knoxville. It's weird. I mean, I'm sure there is a way, but you go up and down. That device that you talked about creates the flame, just shoots up into the balloon to give it some lift.
I got a buddy who's a hot air balloon guy, and I got a glider buddy as well.
The glider.
That's scary. That's scary to me.
People die all the time in those things.
Same thing. He did it with his dad and his brothers. They've been doing it for their whole lives, and he loves to go up, and he's been telling me for years, we got to do it, and I always go, I will totally do that with you. And what I mean when I say that is there's no way in hell I will ever do that with you.
Yeah, I like a good thrill. That one spooks me a little bit, though, because you know what it is? We flew kites when we were kids. You know, we had a little kite club there. And you'd go out, and then the wind would go, and your kite would dip a little bit, and then just rocket straight, just Roman candle right to the ground. Whoops, there goes the kite. But that's what I think about when you're in one of those things. What if I dip my shoulder or sneeze? Am I going straight
the current
down?
Disappears.
Right.
I'm not excited about the prospect of either. In fact, not to turn this into a really dark moment, but I lost a friend in a hot air balloon accident. It's very safe. Yeah, in 1993.
Weird.
One of my close friends from college was out in Aspen or Vail, somewhere in Colorado, with her family, and they same thing. A storm came in over the mountains out of nowhere, and their hot air balloon hit a power line in the mountains, and my buddy Lisa and her sister and her mom all perished in that.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, I just it didn't even occur to me. I kind of forget that's how they died. And I didn't hear about it for a couple weeks because it was the early '90s, and those I was in Europe, and I got home, and my brother's like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" And I was like, "Oh, I saw that on CNN International in Europe. I saw the report of it,
but you didn't know it was
didn't see
them.
the names. They didn't announce who it was. I was like, oh my God." Awful. So, for anyway, all you hot air balloon folk out there, sorry, have fun. Go get them. Have a good time. But if you do crash your hot air balloon and you live to tell the tale, you got to take advantage of that. Like I said, like Zepp, you said, there's always excuses people give for getting out of work. Career Builder, in their annual late to work survey, they found that 25% of us are late at least once a month to work. Wow. I'll give us credit then. None of us are. Maybe it's because we have to be here so early. We're paranoid. No one has missed the start of this show since I've been here. Have you guys ever? You guys have been doing morning radio longer than me. Has anybody ever showed up late?
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where I've missed my alarm, didn't go off or something like that.
Oh, really? So, okay, so it wasn't like flat tire. You literally just missed the alarm.
You want a sick feeling? Drive into work listening to your work.
Yeah.
That's not a good sound when you're walking, blah, blah, blah. And especially when somebody goes, we all have our different studios at KQ often, and, computer screens went up. Sometimes, and even at 917 North Lilac Drive, Tony, you know that end studio didn't have any windows. We used a different door to come in some days.
Right, we were down the hall, and no one would maybe even know if you were there.
Right, and you'd hear, "Hey, Zepp, what do you think about that?"
Right.
And I'm in my car on 169 going, "Oh, no, where's Zepp? What the hell's going on with him? He's been drinking a lot. I think he's going through a divorce." And you're like, "Oh, my God."
Start honking.
Call into the show. "Hey, gang."
This is a great conversation for me because now I have learned that if I'm ever late, if I'm not here, if I'm driving to work and you guys are on there, I will just be cranking Led Zeppelin 1. I will not allow myself to go down the shame rabbit hole listening to you going, "Where the hell's Gorman?" That's not going to happen. But here are, by the way, so 25%, as I said, 25% of people surveyed say they're late once a month. The most common excuses are stuck in traffic or overslept. But these are actual excuses that were given to bosses. "My coffee was too hot. I couldn't leave until it cooled down."
Sure. That's lame.
That's why they make ice cubes.
Yeah.
By the way, my fake eyelashes got stuck together.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
I guess that could be a real thing. I wouldn't know.
By the way, I rented a car about a month ago. I got in, opened the little center console thing there, and two of the longest fake eyelashes were stuck in there. Somebody stashed them in there, and they didn't know it, forgot them. And I don't understand how women can wear those. Do you ever wear the fake eyelashes, Candace? These things were like 3 inches long.
No. If I'm in a wedding or something, I've worn them, but I look like a freak.
Yep. I should have saved these for you.
It's amazing how fast the brain processes. I heard the beginning of the word freak. I heard simply the F and thought you were going to say floozy.
That too.
There's a throwback term. But all right, so fake eyelashes got stuck together. Hard to drive to work.
You know what's funny?
You can't open your eye.
When I took this gig, so a little over a year ago, I'm in Minneapolis. The month of January, I was in a rental car. And in fact, I was in a couple different rental cars because I was running back and forth to Nashville on weekends. And every time I'd get back, I'd get a different rental car. And the rental car industry during COVID just got walloped as bad as anybody. Lost the workforce. They didn't have the car. I don't know how they operate, but boy, it put a lot of flies in the ointment. So early 2023, they were still playing catch up, and this is not a knock on these businesses. We all know how hard it was, but I hadn't been renting cars in a while, and I got here and I was like, boy, things have really slid. I was finding so much stuff in rental cars, like you could just tell they had not been cleaned the way they used to be cleaned.
Yeah.
I never found fake eyelashes, but I kid you not, the unmistakable like. I'd get into a car and I'd be like, it smells clean, but it smells like it's covering the odor of something else. And in that, in the back seat, behind the driver's seat and the passenger seat, there's like a pocket. And if you're in the back seat, you would use that pocket.
Sure.
But I kept finding like McDonald's burger wrappers in those pockets. Yeah. There was a empty Gatorade bottle under the driver's seat in a rental car. There was things like that. Clearly not been vacuumed. I mean, it's fine, whatever. I'm not like freaking out, but I was like, I got to the point where I was like, I would just get in the car I'd get to the airport, walk to the rental car, and be like, I'd just go through it, look under all the seats, open the trunk. I was like, let me just get rid of all the trash now before I drive around and freak out about it.
Maybe you find some change.
Change would have been good. The fake eyelashes would have been weird. I would have thought they were, centipedes or something at first look.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And then I was trying to determine, is this gross? I don't think this is gross. It's an eyelash. It's not like I found a pair of underwear in there, used underwear or something. It's just some eyelashes. I don't think that's gross. But I've told a couple of women, they're like, oh, that's disgusting. And I'm like, why? What am I missing?
You don't want to know what's involved with the application of false eyelashes. One person told their boss their astrologer said there would be an accident on the highway. They took back roads the whole way to avoid. Astrology's what is today? March. What is this birth sign for March 21st?
Aries, and guess whose birthday it is?
Oh, way to spoil it. That's where I was going, Candace.
Rosie O'Donnell?
Rosie O'Donnell and Tony Lee. Happy birthday, brother.
Oh, thanks so much.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Well, why was I thinking you're an April baby? I know Canada. I thought you guys were the same sign.
We are.
Oh, okay.
He's the
So
start
that's
on
right. I forget they overlap.
Yeah.
Wow. So Aries, that's I believe that would be, in the words of Al Green, I'm a ram, correct?
Hell yeah.
I'm a ram. Yes, I am.
I'm on out here on the boo.
Candace is so sweet. She got me a little swag bag of all my favorite things. It's Almond Joys, Cheez-Its, and tequila.
Who did that?
Thank you.
For a good time.
Me and Lynn also contributed. KQ listener, friend of
she's such a dear.
the show, Lynn. Yes.
So
Very nice.
wait, let me get. So Almond Joy, Cheez-Its, and tequila.
Yeah.
That's not quite a lime and salt and tequila. So what order do you is there a certain protocol for this?
I think tequila first, always.
Tequila
Just
first,
good
and then you
advice.
don't care which happens next. Give me both. Give me the crunch and that sweet coconut nougat.
Oh, Almond Joys.
on.
I'm thinking about it. By the way, share your birthday with, in addition to Rosie O'Donnell, Matthew Broderick, Gary Oldman today. Eddie, the Money Man, the late, great Eddie Money. And also Gordie Howe.
Wow.
The late, great also.
Adrian Peterson, too.
Oh, Adrian Peterson?
Nice.
You know
So cool.
Yeah. We get Hudson and Augie on the phone, see if there's any similar traits going on in the household.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to just break into song for a quick minute and remind you guys that with Almond Joy, you can share half and still have a whole with Almond Joy. Remember that little jingle?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had a hot minute, the Almond Joy song.
I remember
Times you
thinking,
feel like
I
a
ain't
nut?
sharing.
No, of course not.
No, there's not enough. Maybe if you get the 4-pack. They have the 4-packers, I like they put the 4-packers right next to the 2-pack. Who the hell's buying the 2-pack?
When you get, no kidding, when you see the individually wrapped mounds on Almond Joy, I'm like, what's the point? You've destroyed the entire raison d'etre.
Yeah. America's favorite candies. Well, that's one we didn't get to yesterday. Maybe we'll have to dig into that. We're going to move along here. By the way, Chris Stapleton tickets up for grabs with our game show at 8 o'clock this morning. It's Good to Be King. Have we played this one before? This one
Nope.
sounds new to me. All right.
She's new.
All right, we're all going to find out together. Only one person knows for sure. That's Tony, 8 o'clock. Chris Stapleton tickets up for grabs. Ooh, WWE Monday Night Raw tickets at the Excel July 29th. That's the runner-up prize today. There will be no losers in the 8 o'clock hour on KQ92. We're coming right back here. Nutmeg. Have you guys heard the nutmeg controversy? I feel like this has come up before. I don't know about kids doing nutmeg to get high. How desperate do you have to be? Just raid the parents' booze cabinet. Heck, pretty soon they're going to have pot in their dresser, and you can go get that wherever they keep that. We'll get into that story. Here some audio. Teacher freaking out about kids smuggling nutmeg into school. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March 21st. Highway to Hell by AC/DC. I'm listening, and I'm like, yeah, AC/DC's cool. I love this song. Australia's kind of wild, but, man, that's where they're from. And I'm thinking about how great AC/DC is. And then I look at Twitter, and I come across this story that an Australian man was called into the the daycare center where his wife and adult daughters both worked. They're in childcare. They're in childhood education. His wife, his daughters, they run a daycare. They call him in. They go, there's a snake in here. Could you come help? And he says, sure, I'll come help. It's a brown snake, one of the most lethal in the world. He's a 47-year-old dude who has not got any experience handling snakes, but he figures, well, let me get in there and try to, do my best. I'll just cut to the chase. He's dead. It bit him and he died.
Oh, yeah. First of all, how do you get to be 47 in Australia and not know how to handle snakes?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and secondly, isn't everyone got a snake handler on speed dial in Australia? Just saying.
I'm telling you right now, I've only been there twice, and I rarely left the hotel I was in. I was like, no, man, I don't need it. If it's not going to be one of the snakes, it's going to be I'll trip over a didgeridoo or something. I mean, everything down there is just everything's scary in Australia.
And then there's those damn red kangaroos. Didn't you say they're the ones that'll get you?
The 7-foot red.
The reds.
He's got a nail to slice you right in half, won't he? Yeah, absolutely.
It's a country/continent that has a series called Australia's Most Deadly Animals. There's at least 3 or 4. I've watched them all. And not just one. One doesn't cover it. It's just a whole series of programs there about things that'll kill you. That's why the English dump the prisoners off there.
Everything will kill you, including the beer. Have you tasted a Foster's lately? Oh God!
Lately has it got skunky?
There is a beer down there called Castlemaine 4X, and it's just 4 X's. And the joke is, well, they spelled it 4 X's because they didn't know how to spell piss. By the way, Australia, also the first place I ever was where I walked into a pub. Let's go get a pint, mate. And I ordered a Foster's because I figured that's what you do in Australia. And the guy said they have their local beers, but being an American in 1992 and kind of stupid, I just said, I'll have a Foster's. And the guy poured the pint and he set it on the bar. And before I said a word, he opened a bottle of Tabasco and just added a shot. And I looked at him and he goes, you're welcome. And I was like, what?
Is that what they do?
And that's what everybody in that bar was doing. I was like, okay. And I was like, hey, that's interesting. And I drank it. And then I was like, what? I'm not doing that again. That was stupid.
In case you want to piss out both ends, maybe. I don't know.
I guess so.
That sounds a little spicy.
That was
a
weird
beer.
one. Anything to get a little more spark in the day. You know what I mean? Anything to just, you want to take the edge off and then give yourself an edge at the same time. I guess that made sense to that bartender at that moment, probably because he couldn't get his hands on any nutmeg, so he needed to do something to add a little spice to things. Nutmeg, sister, you heard it right. Weird. You get enough nutmeg, you can find yourself in all kinds of kaleidoscope realities. There's a Georgia mom on social media who, well, she whipped up a bit of a frenzy because she was explaining that the teens in her school are all on the nutmeg. Take a listen to this.
A couple of the kids had these little bottles of nutmeg in their bags. What do you have nutmeg for? And they were like, oh, culinary class. So then they're at lunch, and she's talking to the culinary teacher, and she was like, what are you guys making that needs that much nutmeg? And the culinary teacher said, what are you talking about? We're not making anything with nutmeg. Well, the resource officer overheard them, and he was like, You remember which students? The resource officer goes in the classroom, looks in their backpacks, and finds little jars of nutmeg. They're all suspended because these flippin' teenagers have figured out that you can use nutmeg to get high.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where you been, Mom? I mean, I've been hearing about this for years.
Yeah.
First of all, I did a little Google, and it's fairly toxic. So you're more likely to get a piercing headache before you really feel any psychosomatic effects of it. And every once in a while, some kids. So they got suspended for smuggling in the nutmeg to get loaded at school. Okay.
Sorry, where was this?
This was in Georgia.
Georgia.
Oh, I was like, that's not, because it sounded like rosemary to me. And I was like, she would know about nutmeg.
The old witch. What is that?
I'm sorry.
What the hell do they use? Yeah, right.
What?
Rosemary.
My wife, Rosemary?
Kind of.
All right, let me hear that voice again. Let me hear that accent again.
A couple of the kids had these little bottles of nutmeg in their
Okay,
bags.
stop. What are you, nut?
What? Oh, not
are
if
you
she's
on
on the-
nutmeg?
What are you, nutmeg?
Are you high on nutmeg?
The accent's not as thick, but
Wait, whose accent isn't as thick?
Rosemary's is way thicker.
Candace,
She's
sometimes
thick.
on slow news days we have to manufacture our own stories. I can't believe you're outing us. Did we forget to tell Candace that Rosemary was playing the bit of the Georgia mother this morning?
Damn it.
Concerned about nutmeg in the schools.
She's been on me all year. Get me on the show. Get me on the show. Get me on the show. I finally gave in, and now you're blowing the whole gig.
I don't know. She just must be on my mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there was I do remember a story from a few years ago. It was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid was putting nutmeg into gelatin capsules and was full on hallucinating, like was taken to the hospital, had blurred vision for the better part of a day. So yeah, nutmeg is not, I mean, whatever you put nutmeg in generally, like in a recipe, it's all, it's just a sprinkle. It's a splash. You don't want to
sprinkle on a drink.
Yeah, you don't want to go. You don't want to go too far with this stuff.
I'm worried about like the tweakers, like the meth heads, and now you have to buy some things over the counter. They lock them up. Are they going to start locking up our nutmeg? Because I've got a big baking project this weekend. What the hell do you use nutmeg for?
It's just I always picture it just it just gets ground up, and you just Tony said, you throw it on top of the foam on top of a latte or something.
Hot drink, maybe a muffin.
Could be. So I do know that when I think of nutmeg, I also think of vanilla extract, and I know back in the Prohibition era, guys were just chugging that like there was no tomorrow.
Speaking of chugging and trying to find an alternative high at a certain age, remember when NyQuil, all that stuff came out? Of course, we had the good cough syrup when we were growing up. God knows what they were putting in that stuff. But I remember football when two-a-days would start, and suddenly, I mean, you can barely get out of bed. You got to roll over and fall onto the floor and try and pick yourself up. That's how we got to bed at night. We get the NyQuil going, and it would just, you'd go to a happy place and just kind of buzz out.
I got
NyQuil chicken.
The NyQuil chicken.
God, that's so nasty. We were a NyQuil family, if you will. Well, that sounds bad. It's like we sat around and drank it for fun. No,
pass it around.
But there was always some in the house. But I was a senior in high school, and for Christmas spent the holiday up in Baltimore, and my brother was working with a youth group, and they were taking a ski trip to the Poconos up in Pennsylvania. So they're like between Christmas and New Year's, a 4-day trip up there. And I said, and he goes, "Do you want to go? It's all high school kids." I said, "Sure." And I had a bad cold, and we were driving. We got on a school bus to drive like 3 hours, 6 a.m. departure. And on the way there at like 5:30, he stops at a convenience store because I'm coughing and I'm congested. And my brother buys a bottle of NyQuil, and he hands it because, "Here, drink some of this before you get on the bus." And I remember saying, like, "What, just take like a hit?" He goes, "Just drink like half the bottle. Just get enough in you." And I think, looking back, he was probably joking, thinking that I knew what I was doing. But I drank like half a bottle of NyQuil and got on a bus. And I sat up near the front, and so I'm on a school bus on that bench next to some dude I've never met from Maryland. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'm Jim's brother. "Oh, Jim's cool. Yeah, he's good." And then next thing I know, we're at the place in Pennsylvania, and everyone's looking at me like, "That guy's weird. He's on drugs." And it was a whole theme of the trip was they all just assumed I was like a just total druggy kid because I fell asleep. I'm falling on the guy. I'm snoring. I'm out of my mind. I was like, man. NyQuil was not playing around. But you mentioned DayQuil. DayQuil, when that first hit the scene, that was just straight up meth, man. DayQuil used to. You want to get the house clean in the 80s? You want to do the gutters, the yard, and the house? Just take 3 ounces of DayQuil. We'll see you later.
I remember thinking it was BS. You know, the little cup that comes on the top. So it was a couple of shots of those. Well, you know, I was a hoople head back in the day. Still am, I guess. But so I took like 4. But I remember, my fingers and toes went completely numb. I remember looking down, and my neck was like 3 feet long. This was something, they sell over the counter. And none of us will ever forget. In fact, we heard a quick clip of the FDA actually had to they put on their website to tell people to stop cooking NyQuil chicken.
Yeah.
I hope this does. God. Here is, in fact, we have Rosemary here walking us through her NyQuil chicken recipe.
My wife got sick last night, so I'm cooking up some NyQuil chicken. I've done this in the past, and usually I use about, 4/3 of the bottle. Season that NyQuil in there just at the right temperature. You're going to want to let it sit there and sizzle for about, 5 to 30 minutes. Oh, sometimes the steam really makes you sleepy. Woo. What you're looking for is that blue color right there. Drain the unused right back into the NyQuil can, just like so. And boom, NyQuil chicken.
I love, even more than the 4/3 of a bottle, I love when he says, you let it simmer 5 or 30 minutes. I love when people say things like, I don't know, I'll be there I'll probably be there in 6 or 19 minutes. It's just like the weirdest. Sometimes people throw out those numbers.
Right.
When we were kids, there was a lot of model airplane building in our house. Our dad, Don Gorman, was a big fan of aviation. He had been a propeller mechanic in the Marine Corps, working on the Corsairs, back in the day, and he just loved. He wanted to be a pilot. That was, I think, his dream. He never was able to accomplish. He loved airplanes. We went to air shows constantly with him. My dad thought a great way to spend the day was just go to the airport and watch planes take off and land. He was thrilled anytime he was able to do that.
I get that.
Yeah, no, I mean, so we all grew up. I have one brother who is lifelong, still goes to air shows every year. I mean, it's his thing. He loves it to this day. And I have a passing fascination, and I'll get stuck down an Instagram rabbit hole watching takeoff and landing still. It's very much in the DNA, if you will. But we had a lot of models. We were building model planes, like the kits in the 70s. You'd walk into the house. The 3 younger boys shared a bedroom, and suspended from the ceiling, there were Messerschmitts and, Hurricanes and Spitfires and a lot of World War II battles flying overhead. But we were, and my brother Dave was the absolute badass model plane builder. He was probably working on a B-17 one day. But I remember my older brother, Tom, the guitarist in the family, which is a code word for he had long hair and did drugs. One of his buddies came in and was like, "Oh, what are you guys making?" And we were like, some Me-17 Stratter Fortress or whatever it was. And this guy, Kirk, he just goes, "Oh, let me see that glue." And there was that model glue, and he just took it and just
sticky stuff.
Oh, I mean, a huge huff of that glue right up his nose. And then he goes, "Don't ever do that." And he turned around and walked out of the room, and I was so confused. And Dave's like, "Yeah, sometimes, man, kids sniff glue." And I was like, "Sniff glue? What are you talking about?" Yeah. And then, of course, I was like, I never did it. I spent the next year of my life tortured by how much I wanted to sniff that glue, but I was afraid to. Man.
Good. That's a healthy fear, I think, probably. Because the glue sniffers, as we used to call them, I mean, the glue sniffers were different than, hey, man, I'm just a little high. Or somebody that would get off on on something that would get you really zoomed up, some speed, as we call it, the white cross, get you really jacked. But the glue sniffers just had that, 1,000-yard stare, that deer in the headlight stare, and they were good for nothing. I thought, but that just doesn't seem like a fun high.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about gateway drugs and what is a gateway and what isn't. I think it's safe to say glue was that was a straight that if you were sniffing glue, then angel dust was just right around the corner.
Right. Yeah.
That 1,000-yard stare, it transferred well to PCP, I think.
No kidding. I was on the WebMD website. I was looking up. I was just curious about this nutmeg thing. By the way, some people have died from eating too much nutmeg. Ugh. Mom, good to worry. Maybe that's why they get suspended for it. Don't worry, way more than you'd ever put in a pie. But they have all these things on WebMD, hacks to getting high. And what a wonderful time in the world, in America in particular, to get high. Things are being legalized. I don't know that you have to get so creative, but bath salts. Remember the bath salts thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
People were smoking bath salts, and literally, it was the PCP of the last 10 years. You don't hear as much about it now. Started eating flesh. Yeah, right. They were cannibalizing people. That was an effect of bath salts. I don't know why you would continue to do that. I forgot about this one. Was big for a while. Alcohol tampons. Some curious teens, female and male, on webmd.com, trying to get drunk without drinking alcohol. They soak tampons in vodka, then put them in. There's no proof that this works. What's more, the vodka may burn. Anyway, they go on and on.
I've never even heard of that. That's the first time that's come across the radar.
Or the frats that were butt chugging. They were taking the beer bongs and right up the caboose. I have a buddy of mine went down somewhere down there, one of the Mayan deals down there. He went down south and he got me a charcoal rub. It was on this one of these temples out in the middle of the jungle that he hiked to, and they called this rub, and it's just filled with these etchings and on the outside of this stone temple, and they'll take a piece of rice paper and some chalk and then rub you out a little. You get a little rubbing of whatever you want on there, and they called this one happy hour. And I guess what the Aztecs were doing back in the day is they were giving each other alcohol enemas to get super effed up. I shouldn't even be talking about this on the air. It's a little irresponsible. But frats were getting into it for a while. In fact, there's a whole piece of audio I can look up for you.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So let's just backtrack. Your friend went down somewhere where there were Aztec or Mayan temples, old pyramid type things, and then there were drawing, like on the side of the pyramid, there were etchings or drawings of like daily life, and they basically deduced that they were giving each other hooch enemas.
Hooch enemas, which are supposed to. Yeah, I was supposed to really get you.
And we're still having conversations about, I can't believe the Aztecs aren't around anymore.
Right. Who's the hieroglyphics interpreter that came up with that?
No, I'll show you guys the rubbing, as they call it. I'll show you this. It's clearly someone's getting an alcohol enema and enjoying the hell out of it. By the way, butt chugging, found the story.
When Mr. Bach went into his hospital room at the University of Tennessee Medical Center, he asked Xander if he had been butt chugging. And Xander's comment was, "What in the world is that?" I appeared about 30 minutes later, along with the chapter advisor of Pi Kappa Alpha, and I informed him that the reason that I was there was to ask him whether or not he had been involved in an activity called butt chugging. And he looked at me like I'd lost my mind and said, "What is that?"
Yeah, all right. So anyway, that was the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity's lawyer, Daniel McGee. Trying to argue on behalf of the fraternity. There were some allegations and some charges that they were hazing pledges with the old butt chugging, the old beer bong up the wazoo.
How does that work?
I think just like you're imagining it would work.
I gotta think you clearly need to involve gravity.
Yeah.
I didn't know that your butt could swallow.
Oh, Candace.
We need to talk off air.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to go explain some things to Candace if you'd like.
But before we do that, while we're still in good moods, I would like to remind everybody listening, and I mean all of our friends out there, why don't you meet up with our friend Zepp? Yeah. Brian Zepp from this very KQ Morning Show at 1 o'clock on Saturday. We'll be at the 35th Annual Donnie Smith Bike Show at the St. Paul River Center. Zepp, you'll be hanging out at the Dennis Kirk booth until 3. And there's going to be your shot to win tickets to Judas Priest May 2nd at the Armory. Plus, you'll have a chance to grab KQ swag and other prizes. And, of course, you can check out the custom bikes, the parts swap meet, gear up for happy hour until 5. Tickets and more info for the Donnie Smith Bike Show. Hang out with Zepp on Saturday. Go to 92kqrs.com for all the info you need. That's going to be fun.
Oh, man, it's going to be a lousy weekend weather-wise. What a perfect time to get over to St. Paul and get into the River Center and just look at chrome and custom. What the guys and gals have been up to for the last, 8 months of winter or something like that. I know it's been a mild one, but it's very exciting and really looking forward to it. See all my biker buddies over there. Bring the fam.
There's some butt chugging.
Well, maybe we'll get a Coors Light. I better not mention the sponsor, for the happy hour. All right. Woo! Right now, the KQ92 talk and text line. Callers 9 and 2, or 651-989-ROCK. We're playing It's Good to Be King. For tickets to Chris Stapleton, Saturday, April 6th, the U.S. Bank Stadium. Limited tickets remaining. Buy it through Live Nation. Our runner-up today, WWE Monday Night Raw. July 29th at the Excel Prize provided by Excel Energy Center. Those tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March 21st, a day of nutmeg highs and butt-chugging parties. And, man, we are, boy, are we on a tear around here.
NyQuil chicken to wash it down.
Tell you what, man, get high on nutmeg, right? And then get the munchies, NyQuil chicken yourself, and then finish the night with a cleansing, a deeply cleansing and satisfying butt chug.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We've established a protocol. Well, it is Tony Lee's birthday, so what better way to celebrate?
That's my routine. That's so weird.
Like a Tony Lee celebration, doesn't it?
Man, I tell you, whew. Jeez, Tony. So, well, let's see. I look. I don't mean to. I don't want to freak you out, but
No,
okay,
not at all.
you're 50 now, so you're 50.
Yeah.
What's ahead for you in your 50s? You made it.
Boy, the adventures just will not cease.
Yeah.
Bring on the challenge.
Now you're gonna ratchet it all up. Man, that's great.
Hey, who do you guys think on the show could chug the most beer?
What? Just straight up chug?
No, with your butt.
Oh, you are going back to butt chugging.
Well, only one way to find out. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Exactly.
Yeah, what's the technique?
I can tell you who would do the least. This guy. Don't even try. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm definitely getting into this contest with you guys, and I'll go last.
Don't you need an assistant of some sort?
You do. I think probably.
Effort?
It's not a one-man job.
No.
Not a chance.
I've had people tell me it's just hard to take a selfie of your ass, let alone get a beer bong in there.
Boy, I tell you.
Anyway.
Back in the days when you had to get film developed by a stranger, if you remember, before iPhones and before smartphones, cameras had film, and you would take pictures, and then you had to take that film to a drugstore or to a photo shop and go, hey, can you develop these pictures? For anyone under 35, they're like, wait, what now? Yeah, that's exactly how it used to be. And on tour in the old days, fans would always be gathered around the tour bus. Tour buses are an endless source of mystery and awe to this day. People are just like, what's going on in there? And all that's going on in there is people are watching a movie and drinking beer and just trying to go to sleep. That's really, it's generally speaking, more often than not. But one of the guys that worked for my band would oftentimes come on. People would say, can I come on the bus? And the answer is always no. Well, can you take a picture of the band for me on the bus? Fans would literally hand him a camera and say, well, go in there and take some pictures. And he'd say, no problem. And every time, this is not funny, but it is hilarious. He would walk on the bus, go to the back lounge, drop his pants, and just take a series of photos of his private area.
Of course.
And then walk right back off that bus and hand that camera to that fan. Oftentimes like a young, like a teenage or college-age girl.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Well.
And then at some point he told us he had been doing that, and we were like, okay, it's hilarious, but think about this. Like that most of these kids then take that camera, give it to their parents, and go, can you get this film developed? And so then I'm always imagining the mom of somebody going into the Walgreens to pick up their film, and the person's like, yeah, we've got your pictures right here. Can we talk to you in a side room? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, these are the things that make sense to you late at night in Kansas City.
I remember coming back from a Vegas trip with KQ, and I had one of those little instant Kodak cameras with some fun film on there that I wanted to get. But I was like, do I just take it? I'm with the morning show, and there's some really risky stuff on there. Do I just take it down to like Walgreens and get it developed? And someone at the radio station counseled me to just let them know what's going on. Once you tell them what may be on the film, then they'll do it, and they have to do it discreetly at that point because they've entered into a verbal contract with you, not realizing that most of the people I work with are just full of butt chugging.
Yeah.
And so I took it down there and explained, these are pretty written, the whole thing. And there was a guy, thank God, because if it was a woman, I probably would have walked out. But it was a guy, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Oh, we can't develop that." I was like, "Oh, dang, son of a gun." So I took them somewhere else and just gave them to them. And I don't know if they've got their own copies of them or not, but, it was fun. But, yeah, that was the thing. Where do you take to get these?
It's just now occurring to me. It's now occurring to me why Steve Jobs insisted that they develop a phone with a camera in it. He's like, we got to let people's freak flags fly. And
man.
They're getting locked down at the photo mart.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, then in that case, hell, Steve, thanks. Yeah, Steve Jobs, right on. Woo.
Yeah.
Didn't realize what kind of discretion we were dealing with in all this. Chris Stapleton's at the U.S. Bank Stadium Saturday, April 6th. That's going to be a nutmeg smoking, butt chugging good time. And if you want to go, well, guess what? We're going to give away some tickets right now. We've got 2 callers ready to compete for these tickets. Tony, what is today's competition?
Yeah, we're going to keep with the Tennessee flavor as we're giving away Chris Stapleton tickets, who will, rest assured, be playing his rendition of Tennessee whiskey. So I missed this 2 days ago. I missed it, but it was the anniversary of Elvis purchasing Graceland. The house, the barn, the 12.8 acres of land for $102,500 back in 1957. Let's salute Elvis the King by choosing the right answer that has anything to do with king in it. It's good to be king. Let's play. Thank you very much.
I like it. Elvis Aaron Presley. It's good to be king. Candace, who is contestant number 1?
Mike from Brooklyn Park.
Mike, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Are you a Chris Stapleton and or Elvis Presley fan?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. Well, then you are in the right place. It's time to play It's Good to Be King. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Man, here's your first one. Number 1. Big Giant Ape was hot for Fay Wray. Jessica Lange and Naomi Watts battled with Godzilla and will now team up together in the new release. He is A, Magilla Gorilla, B, Grape Ape, C, King Kong.
B.
B?
King Kong. King Kong.
Oh, all right, that was C, King Kong. 10 times as big as a man. Remember that King Kong cartoon?
Yeah.
I do remember that now that you say it. All right, Mike, 1 for 1. Keep it going, brother.
Good start. Number 2, one of the most successful singer-songwriters now featured in a musical. She wrote or co-wrote 118 pop hits, including the massively successful album Tapestry. Is it A, Debbie Kingsford, B, Carol Brady, C, Carol King?
Carol King.
Yup.
118 hits.
Not bad.
And still never got her hair straightened. I don't even know what that means. I just figure you got that much money, your hair would just straighten by itself.
Number 3, Disney movie turned into Broadway stage play. A, King Louis. B, The Lion Husband. C, The Lion King.
The Lion King.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Tony, you're just playing softball today. I'm waiting for the bend in the S curve that's inevitably coming.
Mix it up a tad. No. Be kind to me, please. Number 4, Namesake from the Shakespeare tragedy dramatizing the story of an aged king of ancient Britain. Is it A, Kingfish, B, King Lear, C, King Coil?
King Lear?
It is.
Don't hesitate. You were right.
Yeah.
Good job.
A little question mark on the end of that one, but it's right. 4 for 4.
2 more, young man. Nostalgic Quaker Oats breakfast staple. Is it A, Don King, B, King Crimson, C, King Vitamin?
King Vitamin.
King Vitamin, have breakfast with the king. Hell yeah.
Damn right. It's basically Captain Crunch in a different shape.
Yeah. The guy they cast to be King Vitamin, he'd never get that part now. He actually looked like an old kind of king. They'd have like George Clooney now.
Right, he wasn't cool. All right, here's your last one. National chain of cheesy 1970s and 80s fashion retail, including the malls of the Twin Cities. A, Chess King. B, Polyester King. C, Pants Plus.
A.
It was Chess King.
All right.
You guys remember Chess King?
We do. I do remember Chess King.
I do not.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, man. That was right. That's Chess King was raging at the same time as Spencer Gifts.
Yes, exactly.
Blacklight posters and whoopee cushions and lava lamps. Come on, man. That was good living. Mike, you just went 6 for 6, brother. That's what they call a strong effort on your part. Those Chris Stapleton tickets are they're like a tuning fork. They're leaning your way right now. But we do have another contestant who's got something to say about that. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Brady from Big Lake.
Brady, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready to play It's Good to Be King, my friend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, Brady boy number 1, comedian Kevin James sitcom he starred in with Scientology busting Leah Remini. A, King of the Beasts. B, King of Queens. C, King Cobras.
B, King of Queens.
Yes, sir.
Scientology busting Leah Remini. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Number 2, he was a talk show host for many years, wore big specs and suspenders, and was married multiple times. A, Larry the Cable Guy. B, Larry King. C, Don King.
B, Larry King.
That's right, Brady.
Remember when he had Jerry Seinfeld on and he didn't know that Seinfeld was not canceled?
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry was like, have you ever watched the show?
Jerry was not, he was chippy about it, too.
I'm asking the questions.
How'd that feel? Canceled after 8 seasons at the top.
Right. Number 3, blank was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he. Was it A, Old King Solomon, B, Old King Tut, C, Old King Cole?
C, Old King Cole, merry old soul.
There you go.
He called for his pipe, and he called for his bowl, and he called for his fiddler's 3.
When in doubt, go with the rhyme every time. See what I did there?
Yeah, impressive.
Boom.
Number 4, large, delicious crustacean, chiefly found in the cold seas. A, king crab. B, Burger King fish fillet. C, Chickenella King.
A, king crab.
Yep.
Wow.
He's wailing.
Isn't that king crab season right now? Aren't they doing that? I used to watch that show all the time. I don't know.
4 for 4. Keep it up, Brady.
2 more, sir. An American brand of canned Chinese food products founded in the 1940s by Gino Paolucci, who also developed Gino's pizza rolls. Is it A, La Choy, B, Wang Chung, or C, Chun King?
C, Chung King.
Chun King.
I mean, La Choy wasn't bad. That was Mom's go-to. That was the only Asian food I had until I was shipped off to the Army. It was La Choy, yeah. And that was a big night for us. That was exciting. Except for Dad. He'd grumble and piss and moan a little bit.
Of course, it's exotic.
Imelda used to rock some egg foo young, which, if memory serves, probably wasn't really egg foo young, but we thought it was. Kind of like her goulash was a mix between her stew and her chili, but we didn't know.
Sounds good to me, man.
Yeah, it worked for us.
Here's your last one, pal. Jim Morrison of the Doors' alter ego. A, the Thunder Lizard. B, the Last of the Mohicans. C, the Lizard King.
That's C, Lizard King.
Yep.
Brady knows his Mr. Mojo Rising trivia right there, and that means Brady, like Mike, is 6 for 6. Holy smokes, we got ourselves a shootout, gentlemen. It's time for a tiebreaker is what that means. So Tony's going to come up with a question that will probably have nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far today.
It doesn't.
And you'll both have to answer. Mike, I would like you to answer first, then we'll get Brady's answer, and then we will see who is the king for the day.
All right. 3 films are tied for holding the record of winning the most Academy Awards of all time. Ben-Hur, Titanic, and Lord of the Rings. How many Oscars did these 3 movies win?
Mike?
8.
Mike says 8. Brady, what do you think?
I'll say 4.
The answer is 11.
It's 11. Wow. All right. Well, that means Candace is beside herself, apparently, and Mike is the winner. with 8 is closer to 11 than 4. Mike, you have Chris Stapleton tickets. That's now 2 weeks, Saturday, April 6th at the U.S. Bank Stadium. Brady, fine job, 6 for 6, just not enough on the tiebreaker. You, as a runner-up, are still going to be feeling pretty good. WWE Monday Night Raw, July 29th at the XL Energy Center. Those tickets are yours. Gentlemen, thank you both for playing.
Thank you.
You got it. God, man, he's like champagne popping. You could hear the excitement.
Some people, they're just steady like that. You know?
That's right. That's
you're only going to get one mood out of them. It's almost comforting, really. No ups and downs.
It's good to be king. That's a whale of a game right there, Tone.
It was pretty fun. I think you're right, though. I think it was a little easy on our fans here.
Well, the tiebreakers never are, though. So you can breeze right. This was no beat the toaster. You can breeze through. It's good to be king, but Tony's coming for you. He's going to come and get you one way or the other. He's going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's like a whiplash effect, really. You're just cruising along. You're looking at the sunset, not a pothole in the road, and then suddenly, what the hell?
Whap.
Oscars? Ben who? Yeah, that's right. I like that. I like the question about the king crab. It reminded me. The word crustacean. I always just loved that word as a kid.
I know you can't use it very often.
But I wrote my first joke around that word.
All right.
When I was in 4th or 5th grade, I put down I am a joke writer, and I came up with my first joke. And the joke was this: which one of these things doesn't fit? Ready? A lobster, salmon, or a Japanese gentleman under a steamroller?
That's not bad.
I'll tell you what doesn't fit. The salmon, because the other two are crustaceans.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I thought I was the only guy to ever come up with that one. For a little while, I was carrying that around like a nugget of gold in my pocket. Oh, you like jokes? Oh, I wrote one. Here you go. Imagine my surprise when I heard someone else do a play on words of the word crustacean in similar fashion. I think it might have even been on the Mike Douglas show. It really upset me.
Well, more than one comedic. Yeah.
David Brenner, that bastard. He always stole my best stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. David Brenner, there's a name that hasn't popped up in a while. All right, well, hey, if the boss has been on your case lately, maybe always, they've come up with a kooky way to cope with boss stress. And at least one of us here on the show has participated in this odd practice. We'll hip you to what that is here at 8:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March 21st, which, as we've mentioned a couple times on the show today, is Tony Lee's birthday. Happy birthday, Tony. And Candace Wheeler, being the angel of love that she is, brought Tony several of his favorite things. Some Almond Joy, some tequila, and then a big bag of Cheez-Its.
Yes.
And during this last commercial break, Tony, being the gentleman he is, thought, I'll share some Cheez-Its with my friends. And he walked over and said, Steve, would you like a Cheez-It? And I said, sure, Tony, thanks. And as Tony went to rip open his bag of Cheez-Its, apparently there was some sort of explosive device in that bag because they went everywhere.
Yeah.
It was you were ripping the top and you just got a little butterfingery or something. All I know is about 672 Cheez-Its are on the floor now.
I was nervous to be around you. See, the road is paved with good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right.
I wanted to share, and instead I became an example further of the dork that I am.
If I could have known that was going to happen, I mean, if I could have a photograph of anything in recent history, it would be the look on your face as you were surrounded. If you could get a still image, 100 and so, or several hundred Cheez-Its in midair, and the look on your face as they were falling all around you, that was a moment in time.
It's like a birthday celebration.
Well, you can
it sounds
see it
like
on
fun.
the KQ Facebook in about 2 seconds.
No, don't do that.
Yes.
It's fine.
The aftermath
Where's
of the moment of
Chauncey?
truth.
The golden goodness.
That's what I
wasted.
said. Too bad Chauncey's not here today, man. This problem would be taken care of already.
I'm going to eat them still. Whatever, man. 3-second rule. I'm sure this carpet's cleaned all the time.
3-second rule. It's shortened since when I grew up, it was the 5-second rule. Now it's 3 seconds. You got to be a little quicker, I guess.
Oh, what is it? Now I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just like you just reach down, pick it up, and start eating. But yeah, not on a radio station floor studio.
No.
Oh.
I was working at a bar in Atlanta called The Dugout, and the guy decided I needed to do more than be the doorman, so he's going to show me how to help prepare food. Chicken wing prep was first day, and he goes, all right, so you take your wings, you put them in here, and you put them in this big mixing bowl, and then he pulled out this big red squeeze bottle of hot sauce. He goes, mild is 1 shot, medium is 2, and then if they want it hot, give them like 3 squeezes. It was the same sauce. It was just more per order. And I was like, okay, and I'm showing him that. He's showing me that. And then he goes, now just take this big spoon and stir it all up. And as I'm stirring a big bowl of wings, one of them flew up and out and hit the floor. And he goes, 5-second rule. And I said, I said, really, in the bar? And he goes, yeah. And I said, okay. And I bent over and he goes, well, I mean, I guess we all count to 5, and we all have different rates of speed when we count. And I said, oh, was that too long? And he goes, no, man, that was like 1.5 seconds. My 5 seconds takes a long time.
Yeah,
and that's when I thought right then, I'm like, well, I'm never eating again from this establishment.
Right. No kidding.
Secrets.
Yeah, I don't think the health department's cool with that. And I hope Tony has better luck opening his bottle of tequila.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah,
I'll be genteel with
tequila
that.
everywhere.
I love the way Tony's acting like he hasn't already opened it. I'll be gentle. He's having the bag right now.
Don't judge me, drummer boy.
Yeah.
That's
why take a swing at someone here before the end of the show.
If you're wondering why there's Cheez-Its all over the floor, it's because someone went to the tequila first.
I said I would.
But you know what? They give us a lot of rope around here. You know, we got some leeway. It's a good working environment. We've all had places where we weren't quite so fond of the bosses, and apparently an awful lot of people. This is something a lot of folks do, and it's recommended you do if you're having trouble at work. I'm not kidding. Make a voodoo doll of your boss.
Well, that's practical.
Throw together a voodoo doll and just start jamming some needles into that bad boy. And apparently, for people that do this, it makes them far less resentful about their job and their boss in particular. Mm-hmm. As weird as it sounds, this is what the researchers said, a simple and harmless symbolic act of retaliation can make people feel like they're getting even and restoring their sense of fairness. Like a lot of parts, it's like they say your body remembers physical pain, like heartbreak. If someone breaks up with you, your heart actually hurts, and they say take Advil. It's physical pain as in addition to emotional pain. Everything's connected.
With your tequila?
With your tequila. And so tequila heartbreak, have tequila. And so, no, but the idea that if you're jabbing a needle into a voodoo doll that's supposed to represent your boss, you're feeling relief as if you were actually retaliating. Your central nervous system doesn't know the difference, so it's a valid thing to do. Which I fully accept that. I don't question the science behind that. It makes perfect sense to me. I think twins are the same person. I think they feel each other's pain. I accept all that kind of crap. But that said, if I look across this desk and somebody is jabbing needles into a voodoo doll, I'm going to look at them a little sideways from then on. I mean, I'm glad it helps you, but it freaks me out that you have to do this.
Right.
Well, don't judge. I did do that as a kid.
What?
No, I did. I had a bully.
Don't judge.
I got bullied as a kid, and we had so many books around my house growing up, and I found one. It was an old one. It was called Spells and Incantations.
Hold on. Bullying. So what age you think?
10, 11.
10, 11.
Like
and
that.
Is this bullying at school?
Yes.
Is this physical as well as verbal?
Yes.
Well, then,
I got in fights pretty much every day.
I can't imagine you as a fighter.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Bastards.
Yeah.
What was this kid's name?
I don't want to say.
I made you the man you are today.
Tell me off air. I'm gonna Facebook this sucker.
Well, but I did. I made it. It showed how to make a voodoo doll. It was like out of clay, and I made it look like him because I'm artistic. And But I remember going into kind of a rage one time and just like ripping the arms off and just stabbing things into him, and he was fine. But it took decades, but he has died.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess it worked.
Oh, well, then, we definitely don't want to speak ill
on his
of the
Facebook
dead
page
by name.
Right.
But screw him.
But you're right, though. It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
I read one time, too, if you resent some people, you're angry about something, you write down the incident, what makes you mad, roll it up, and burn it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh, that's the old. Chicks do that when they break up with guys. They get wasn't that on Sex and the City or something?
I did it once.
Did you?
Once.
Did you feel better about it?
Did. Yeah, I got in trouble.
As long as you don't burn down the house.
Yeah, I got in trouble.
What?
Oh boy.
You were at home?
Yeah, I was like 16. I mean,
okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. I'd have to do something like that. I don't think I could make a voodoo doll. I mean, I'm not. Who's our boss? Wade Linder, the last person in the world you'd ever want to stick a needle into, but he is our boss. I suppose what I could do is get a Ken doll and a Barbie doll, and then take the blonde hair off the Barbie doll and put it on the Ken doll.
Right.
And then I'd have Wade, but.
Well, he was a heroin addict, so he's familiar with the needle business. So.
He's used to needles. That's his thing. No, you'd never want to do that. With Wade would never prompt that. He'd never stress us out in any way. I don't think he possibly could. That's not a challenge, by the way, Wade. But yeah, it's just whatever makes you feel better, right? You know,
did I miss the announcement that on your birthday you can literally say anything without fear of blowback?
Yeah.
Tequila, Steve.
You just went straight down junkie row here. I'm like, wait, what? I'm sorry, man. That's awesome.
That's how Tony.
I can't wait till August. I'm going to spend every day between now and August 17th just writing down just A-bomb after A-bomb. I'm taking all. I'm taking down everybody on my birthday. This will be great. I've never done a voodoo doll, but I will say this: just at the thought of you making your voodoo doll of clay, I immediately an image of an actual golem came to mind. Like you were
exactly.
You know, that's kind of the same kind of thing. Wow.
Yeah. I'm on the KQ Facebook page now. Okay. Tony spilled his birthday Cheez-Its. They are everywhere. Leave them on the floor. Woody's coming in. He's a stoner. He'll clean them up.
We're just taking shots at 360 degrees today.
Lynn texted me, asked if you were sad, and people are just upset. They're sad for you.
Look at you can't quite see his facial expression, but he has that forlorn posture, you know. The shoulders are slumped, and he's just looking at, what have I done?
And guess whose grubby little fingers are all over the Cheez-Its?
I recognize those grubby little
Gorman.
fingers. Yeah.
A
handful. He's just scooping.
I didn't take any off the floor. I said I'll only take the ones that are on top of the pile. If they touch the floor, then I wasn't going there. But if they're on top, if a Cheez-It is on top of another Cheez-It, that Cheez-It is fair game.
Think about this: that carpet went in the year 2000, and I'll guarantee you, I'd bet Tony's bottle of tequila that has never been vacuumed. Yes, cleaned. No.
Oh God, no.
No.
Hey, Gorman, I really like you and everything, but you got some serious Cheez-It issues. I find Cheez-Its all over the building, smushed and crushed and spilt all the time. You got to be more attentive with your Cheez-Its, all right?
He's leaving a trail.
You've never heard about breadcrumbs?
Yeah.
This is the most confusing building I've ever been in my life. It takes me every day before I go buy my Cheez-Its at halfway through the show, I have to look at a map to make sure I remember how to get to the vending machine. So yes, Candace, there is a method to the madness.
You know, a fun thing to do is to take his Cheez-Its when you realize he's left those breadcrumbs and then just reroute them down to like Love 105. Let him go down there and play a couple of love tunes or something.
You have no idea how weird it is to be talking on a microphone and realize I've never been in this room before. I don't think anyone hears a word I'm saying. It's really, really strange. I've never wanted to voodoo doll a boss, but in 2004, I wanted to voodoo doll a mover. We moved from Los Angeles to Nashville, and we had a real issue, which I'll share in a moment, but I'm reminded reminded of it because there's a story in Georgia that a man is very upset, and it was a local news story down there. Somebody at a moving company took something that mattered to him very much. So he hires the movers. They come in. They're packing up the stuff. And when they get to the new place, they're unpacking, and they realize something's missing. What was missing was his game, a set of dominoes. Not just any dominoes. Now, I was in my 20s the first time I realized dominoes was a game and not just something you lined up and watched them all fall into each other down a cool path. This man really likes playing dominoes. These are special dominoes. These are what are called sex dominoes.
What?
Sex dominoes.
I thought dominoes were for after sex, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's cigarettes.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
it's a set of sex dominoes is a game you can order. It's a set of 28 dominoes with a sexually stimulating rewards, as it says, if you look to try to buy some. It's basically just some version of dominoes where I guess it's like tarot cards. You read the thing basically, I'm looking at some images now. This is fairly titillating. I think basically it's like a combination sex twister and domino. I mean, it just gives you suggestions for what to go do, I guess. Anyway, my man's very upset because not only did they take his sex dominoes, they took an iPad as well. He called the police. He said he saw a mover place the sex dominoes and a few other items off to the side, and then after the mover left, he went over to the area, and that's when they were missing, and he realized they'd been taken. And he said, I need you to find this mover, and I will press charges. My first thought is this. What do you mean you got arrested? For what? Sex domino theft. I mean, that's a weird charge.
Yeah, no, you don't brag about that. That's something you just do to get your kicks, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're reporting. And the guy that stole the sex dominoes, I don't want to actually handle anything that I think people have been using during sexual time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
No, 100%.
I just would think to myself, hey, sex dominoes, they make those? I'll go on Amazon and get my own.
Yeah, if I see someone sex dominoes in the house, I'm looking for Lysol wipes nearby as well.
Yeah.
My
Either
cousin,
that or I'm going to get friendly with them. Maybe there's a threesome on one of these sex dominoes.
My cousin Scott was a mover for a few years for Mayflower Allied, one of the big companies. This is going back in the 80s. And he was great at it. He's a really strong guy. So he's, he can get a couch up and down a set of stairs in a way that's still like he just understands, leverage and that kind of stuff because he learned how to do that stuff the smart way. But he did mention there are certain times when you not only are moving but you're packing too. Some people pay the extra and they just have you pack all their stuff. And he didn't go into specifics, but he would say man, the stuff you come across in people's cabinet drawers, chest of drawers, in their closets. He was like, man, every house I've ever been in, there's a freak show happening at some point or another. But I 20 years ago, we moved from California to Tennessee, and there was a gap. I was finishing a tour, and I was going to be doing some traveling. So the movers, they packed up our house like the first week of June, and then it wasn't delivered to Tennessee until the end of July. And so what that means is they come and they put all of our stuff into the back of a giant truck and they leave. And then it's almost 2 months before that truck is delivered to Nashville. But they don't leave it in that trailer. They take it to a storage facility. They unload all of your stuff, put it into a storage place, and then reload it later and then deliver it. So I saw a beautifully packed truck leave my house in L.A., and 7 weeks later, I saw a truck pull up to my house in Tennessee that looked like they had turned it upside down 3 times on the journey.
Yeah.
It was phenomenally messed up. When they opened the back doors of that truck, it was just all the furniture, the biggest pieces are on the bottom, but on top it was just bicycles, toys, chairs, just thrown on top. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And so I said, yo, man, what? And the guy's like, I have no idea, man. I'm just a truck driver. We didn't pack it up. We just received this trailer and we brought it to you. So they're like, sorry, yeah, this looks terrible. And I said, unacceptable. And the guy says, if you take some pictures before we unload it, document this, you can file a report, do the whole thing. And I had just for the first time gotten a digital camera, and you can connect it to your laptop and upload photos, and it was like my new toy. And so I took photos inside, of the back of the truck as they were pulling things out. I had a whole just
damn straight
dozens of pictures, and the guy explained the whole paperwork to me. So at the end of the day, as they're doing the whole thing, he says, "Let me see the pictures you took." And I'm showing. He goes, "Yeah, these will be great." He goes, "This is easy. They'll totally give you a refund." Blah blah blah. Shows me where to fill out the paperwork and everything, and we shake hands, and I tip him in cash because I'm a hell of a guy. And they leave, and we're talking about it. And Rosemary goes, "Yeah, let's go upload those photos." And I walk back into where we were sitting, and my camera's gone.
What? Oh my! Wow!
The dude just reeled me in for hours, and then he left with my camera.
I mean, we wonder why people get a little vigilante feeling, why doors are kicked in and people bring baseball bats, and that fires me up.
I'm telling you right now, if it hadn't been 10 or 20 minutes, I mean, I would have I could have found the truck. If I'd noticed it right away, he's driving really slow in a neighborhood, I would have been able to find him, and I would have 100% called 911, pull this truck over, he stole my camera. By the time that would have happened, I'm sure my camera had been smashed to bits already, but I was so pissed off. I mean, I was angry for a week. Every day, Rosemary would go, "You have to get over this." I'm like, no. I'm so, because we're all perfect judges of character. We all think we know who's full of it and who's not. Everybody I know, everybody I've ever met, myself included, will be like, "I can tell when someone's BSing me." We can't tell anything about people. And I was convinced. I mean, this guy sold me so hard on how bad he felt about it. And man, this is great. Those photos are perfect. He was helping. As I was taking photos, he's like, "Get up here and try to get it from both angles." He talked me through the whole thing.
Son of a... Why can't you run into him at a grocery store, at a freaking gas station at 1 a.m. or something?
I was truly foaming at the mouth, and then it took days before I even acknowledged, "Hey, wait a minute, I lost my camera in this deal too."
Yeah,
that was even worse long term. And the truth is, none of our stuff was ruined or even broken that I remember, but it just looked so bad in there. I was all hot and freaking out about it. Anyway.
Well, I mean, this is where you just, take that deep breath and hope karma gets their asses.
Well, I could have
used
Karma's phone number at the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, you can catch up with this very show. Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast. We have a good time. We think you will, too. In-depth interviews on occasion. Sometimes we talk about huffing nutmeg and beer chugging up our butts and all kinds of things. On Tony Lee's birthday, we do anyway. But listen, anywhere you get podcasts and anytime you want, it's available to you. The podcast of this morning show is sponsored by
Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Our friends,
that makes everything
lovers.
better.
Yes.
Our lovers, our food lovers.
Stretch.
Love the lovely people at Devani's with their delicious food. Thank you.
Now I'm thinking about food. You guys picky eaters, you think?
Nope.
Do you consider yourself picky? You don't eat anything? All right, well, there's a true test to see if you're a picky eater or not. Are these foods nasty or not? Let's take the quiz. Ride along with us. We'll all take the quiz together at 8:50. We'll find out if you're picky eater or not. Foods nasty or not. Coming at 8:50. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, March 21st. Happy birthday, Tony Lee, the man responsible for all the Cheez-Its on the floor in my studio. We give Tony a lot of extra room on his birthday. Whatever it takes. You want to finish off that bottle of tequila, you go for it, brother.
Well, that I'll do. I'm glad you could enjoy the remnants of the cheesiness.
Oh, man. There's nothing better than Cheez-Its except Cheez-Its from the floor of a radio studio.
My tummy hurts.
My tummy hurts. It's because you had too many Cheez-Its and too many Almond Joys. Candace gave Tony today, for his birthday, a giant bag of Cheez-Its, a giant bag of Almond Joys, and some tequila. So that's a recipe for good health and good times.
God, a big swag bag of my favorites.
It's like the Oscar swag bag. Screw that. Give me Almond Joy, Cheez-Its, and hooch every time. There's going to be a lot of hooch going down this weekend because we're all going to be snowed in. Maybe. Thursday night, that's tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a winter weather advisory from 7 p.m. until 10 a.m. Predictions anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow. And then Sunday, the follow-up could be 6 to 8 more inches of snow because, of course, we're almost to April and we haven't had any snow all year, so why not whack us up during the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, right, exactly. A good excuse to sit around and do nothing. By the way, the temps are not going to hang. I was just checking out the... it looks like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Monday, there's an 80% chance for rain as it just ekes into 41. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a wintry mix. Next Wednesday's high, sub 30. 28 for a high.
No.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, boy.
You know, and I don't revel in it this time of the year. You know, once it gets to be spring, it's kind of wasted. The season's over. It's all for naught. Now it's just a pain in the ass to get around in, but there you have it.
It's going to rain and then freeze.
You guys, just stop.
Let Candace just enjoy life, would you?
Yeah,
it's beating her down. All this Minnesota life, it's just not for everyone, Candace.
I know you guys may think I just love talking about the weather every day, but
well, you do it twice an hour.
I like to wake up and just be surprised.
To throw the curtains open and see what adventures await.
Speaking of Cheez-Its on the floor, I just want to move away from all the things that went through my mind when Candace said I like to wake up and be surprised. There was so much material to mine right there. But
who's in bed with me now?
Probably better to just move on. Probably best to move on.
Not you.
Here's a recent survey. We talked about Cheez-Its off the radio studio floor. It doesn't get much grosser than that if you've spent any time in radio studios. But apparently, the grossest thing, this is a large poll of people saying what foods are gross. 60% of Americans polled think black licorice is gross.
Yep.
That's the number one. You guys think that?
I hate
Slam dunk.
I kind of like it.
People that make it are evil. People that eat it are wrong. Yeah. Black licorice.
I've never had a problem with black licorice.
Don't you
ever
ever say another word to me again.
Wow.
I don't like it plain, though. I like it when, I think it's called all sorts. They're like those little mini sandwiches.
Oh, those are like
They're like pink and yellow and white. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
Those are good.
Wow.
You could eat those off the floor of Studio C. No, I mean, I'm being obviously ridiculous about it, but yeah, no, I really not just the flavor, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, what was that Easter candy? It was the one Grandma got. Grandma's, Mom's nail candy. Then by the time you get to be a grandma, something goes wrong in your head, and you forget what candy kids like.
You just
hard candy, licorice, black licorice,
coffee nips.
You cross that line where you no longer care what other people think of you, and you're just like, fine.
Right. Maybe the laugh is on us, right? They're like, look at them, and they know they have to eat it because it's from their grandma, and their mom and dad will get mad if they don't eat it. Look at them shovel that crap down.
Yeah, I bet your grandma's got like Starburst, but they're actually made out of horseradish.
Grandma! You've traveled to Asia.
This is good for your blood. It's better than garlic.
Yeah, you've been overseas. You've been in Japan. You know that you get your shrimp-flavored hard candy and stuff like that. That stuff's nuts.
Yeah. I've been to a couple of professional baseball games in Japan, and the stuff they serve at the ballpark in Japan, it's phenomenally weird, or it's either great or awful. It's either completely it's the tastiest snack ever or inedible. There's no in between in my experience.
Cool. Yeah,
and they have like their version of a hot dog, and you can get a beer. But then when you're just in the seats, the person walking up and down, the vendors who are walking in the up and down the row, and they're just announcing stuff, and it's just dried fish and just things that in a baseball game make no sense to the American kid, you know. But and we tried everything, and it's like you take one bite and either go, "Oh, that's amazing," or it would be like, "I'm gonna hurl, get this away from me." Yeah, it was pretty wild. But they do love. Speaking of baseball, what is it? I believe the season, Major League Baseball is happening right now in Korea. The first games of the season, Dodgers and Padres are playing probably as we speak. Because I did see a tweet that Shohei Ohtani on his first pitch of the season had a base hit. So some things never change.
Did you hear about the big story on him, on his interpreter?
Yes. Yeah, and I've got some thoughts, and here they are. So Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player on the planet right now. So he's Japanese, obviously, now plays for the Dodgers, has an interpreter, and the story was his interpreter was pilching money from the boss and got into some heavy gambling debt, right? That's the story. And so they had to fire this interpreter. I don't buy it. Not for 1 second.
Really?
Because there are a few things in Japanese culture more shameful than embezzlement or stealing from your boss. That's a lifetime of shame. What's honorable in Japan is to take the hit for your boss. I think Ohtani or Ohtani's fiance, somebody else that they don't want, as someone else is racking up the gambling debts, and someone needed to be the fall guy, and that guy took the hit. That's what I think.
Yeah, there's something deeper.
Well, they're talking about a crime here. I mean, they say at least $4.5 million in wire transfers from Tani's account. So,
I think the guy who does that to his boss. I mean, that's just, I just don't. My cursory, pedestrian, childlike understanding of Japanese culture has led me to a conspiracy theory. Is what I'm now realizing as I'm saying this out loud. Black licorice. We're all in agreement. It's gross, except that I kind of like it. Jerry Garcia had the great line. He said, "The Grateful Dead's like licorice. Not many people like us, but the ones who do really do." Makes perfect sense to me. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. Candace.
Amy from Howard Lake.
Amy is on the phone. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
What's going on?
Oh, I was just driving to work, and I'm like, who doesn't like black licorice?
See?
Right here. I don't.
Well, it's like having a shot of Jägermeister without the booze in it.
That's true.
Exactly. Do you know why we drink Jägermeister?
For the
booze in it. Yeah, for the booze. Strictly for the booze. And then that's why every morning we wake up and we go, I'm never going to drink that crap again. But there's a few black, like Ozu or something like that. What's that one I'm thinking of? The Greek drinks got a little black. Uzo. Yeah, that's.
I'll drink that.
To it. Sure, it's not bad.
Amy, when's the last time you had some black licorice?
Last Easter.
Last Easter, okay. So, once a year, twice a year. So it's not like you're not always on the prowl looking for black licorice.
Oh, no. Nope, not at all.
Not if it's around,
Well, the prowl.
All right, well, Amy, that's
what she's doing right now. She's driving around, hitting some black licorice stands.
Making phone calls. What's your black licorice stash looking like?
I might have to stop on my way to work and get some.
Now that we've mentioned it. All right, well, then in that case, what is one food that you find really gross, Amy? What will you not eat?
Lutefisk.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah, right. Nobody's arguing on that
I
one.
can get down on that sometimes, just for the cultural respect.
Well, maybe if you add a little Jägermeister to the lutefisk, or in this case, black licorice, and it'll go down a little easier.
I'll have to try that sometime.
Well, let us know when you do. Thanks for the call, Amy.
Yep, thank you.
Second on this poll of things that are really gross, blue cheese.
What the heck?
No, that's wrong. No, blue cheese is wonderful.
Oh, I love blue cheese.
All right, let's be fair. We can both be right here. It is gross and it is delicious.
Yeah, I'll grant you that. I will definitely grant you that. Olives? What? Come on. Who has a problem with olives?
I hate olive haters. There's so many. There's so many olive haters, and there's so many pickle haters, and they're just losers.
This is a weird one. This is number 4 on this list of gross food, and I bought into this having never until I experienced it. But beets is on the list. Really? I love
in the red juice.
Yeah, I love a good sugar beet, and I waited well into my adult years before. Because I just had a thing like, those must be terrible. And if I'm at a salad bar and they got beets, I'm loading up, man.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing you're supposed to hate as a kid, but I like them now.
It's grandma food, but I'll be honest with you guys. All right, I'll take a back seat on this one because I think the last time I tried them was when grandma was force feeding us beets and sweet potatoes and crap like that.
God, I couldn't stand your grandma.
Don't be scared when you go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does the job.
No. It looks like you got a little blood in there, right? People talk about that beet with the red juice, whatever that juice is. It's not cherry. I know that. That was the trick they got me to eat when I was a kid. But yeah, people often will report blood in their stool, and the doc will say, "Did you eat beets recently?" Oh.
Also on the list, marzipan.
I love marzipan.
The candy of kings.
What
marzipan.
is that? Oh, I've heard of it. What is that?
It's Eastern Europe kind of thing, I believe. It's ground almonds, sugar, egg whites. Oftentimes marzipan is shaped and dyed so it looks like it's a little tiny piece. Like you'll get a piece of marzipan, it looks like a little baby carrot, but it's marzipan. They make it look like other things. And it's my experience with marzipan just goes right back to our old piano player in the Black Crowes, Eddie Harsh, was obsessed with marzipan. And he would search it out. You could be there are airport kiosk employees all around the world that remember a 6'5", 125-pound guy going, "You got any marzipan?" Because he was always on the hunt for marzipan.
So funny.
He was a complete unicorn of a human being, and he truly did talk like that. And he was 6'5", and he did weigh like 140 pounds, probably soaking wet. And he would just grab a bag of marzipan and be good to go for the whole day.
All the things to be into.
And I'd get one piece just to be nice and be like, "Oh God, come on, I need to wash this down with all the beer in this airport." At least that was my excuse. Peas, pickles, broccoli, carrots, usual suspects finishing off the list for what's a gross thing. I got off easy as a kid. My mom hated liver, so like there was never a liver and onions dinner served at my house. I didn't have broccoli till I was 10 or 11. Never saw it, and but the first time I had it, I loved it. I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah, no, broccoli never showed up at our place, or cauliflower. Broccoli, I like cauliflower not so much, or Brussels sprouts. It was the basics, but lima beans, I'm on the record for that. I've talked about that a lot. In fact, I don't even know anyone else that's even had lima beans. People are like, lima beans, and you almost have to explain it to some people. I'm pretty sure, I'm not quite sure why that continues to exist. Can we turn it into ethanol or something and put it in
somebody could. Someone out there could. The first time I had broccoli, it wasn't actually broccoli. It was broccoli dip. And it was, you know what spinach and cheese dip is. You see those. My sister made it was like basically, you never see this anywhere, but it was spinach cheese dip, except it was with broccoli. So she made a broccoli and cheese dip. She had some friends coming over to the house, and I never tasted anything like it in my life. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever had."
Jeez.
And I was probably really excited because I'm in 5th grade or 6th grade, so she's a senior in high school, and she brought over some friends and some cool dudes with sideburns and stuff, and they all hung out, and they had a giant vat of broccoli dip with chips and some like carrots and celery, and they listened. The whole point of coming over was, let's all listen to the Steve Martin album, Let's Get Small.
Oh, perfect.
And so I associate the broccoli dip with Let's Get Small, and it was me in a room with a bunch of high school juniors and seniors, and I was just like, this is the life. This is the life I need. Comedy and broccoli dip and sideburns and cool people.
Was there a little cannabis before?
Nowhere near the Gorman household, I can assure you that. That wouldn't have flown. If there was, they knew enough to take care of that well before attending.
I wonder if with a joint, maybe I would have enjoyed it. Maybe you could have got some lima beans in me. But yeah, it wasn't happening in our house, except for Mom. We found out years later when she was doing the dishes. Anyway, we're going to move along here. Insurance fraud. These weird insurance fraud stories come up. We have one here for you this morning. Not my kind of crime. I would never think to cash in on insurance fraud, but these are definitely your hoople heads of the day. That story coming up here about 9:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Thursday, March the 21st. Let's discuss insurance fraud, by which I'm not meaning insurance is a fraud. Although, hell, sometimes you just got to wonder. But Zepp, you just got bailed out with some insurance yesterday. Hot water heater blew, and you're covered. It's good news.
Yeah. One of those homeowners, something I would never do myself, but I cohabitate, like I said, with a much more responsible person. And so that was nice. Saved us several $100 probably.
Sure. Yeah. So, sometimes insurance is your buddy. Sometimes insurance
did it
is
happen?
your pal.
Did I make it up?
Ooh.
Or did it?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't. We're not. Neither one of us are clever enough to get away with that. That one kind of spooks me. I've had, back in the day, I'm just going to say I knew someone that did the old car thing. Your car got wrecked, and the insurance company back in the day would just cut you a check, and here you go get it fixed.
Yeah.
And they'd keep it and not get the car fixed. That even made me nervous. And listen, I've busted a couple of laws in my days. Nothing too serious, but clearly I'm capable. But that one freaks me out.
Yeah, no, I'm convinced that there's not a police unit in the world as thorough as insurance fraud investigators.
Right.
Like you can get away with murder a lot quicker than you can get away with insurance fraud of some other sort. I just reminded me of a quick story. Good friends of ours in California, living proof that mommy brain is a real thing, especially late in a pregnancy. My wife, we had 2 kids, and both times that last trimester, she's just brain dead. It's just like, I can't remember a thing. And then, of course, shortly after delivering, there's just a lot going on there. It all makes perfect sense. But our good friends Donald and Jill was about 7 or 8 months pregnant and looked out the front window of her house one day. Or no, I should say she was taking a walk in the neighborhood. She came back she used to get up every day and she would walk to this cafe and get a decaf latte. It was like her little thing to keep herself moving. And then she walked home, and when she walked up to her house, her car was gone. She was like, "What? Oh my God, my car was stolen." She calls her husband. She goes, "Hey, wait, you didn't take my car to work?" He goes, "No, what are you talking about?" She goes, "I just got back from the cafe and it's not here." They file a stolen car report. The police come. It's LA. They're like, "Well, we're not going to find it. Good luck to you. File with your insurance." It's like forget it. That thing's gone.
Sorry. Yeah.
They go through the whole process, and like 2 weeks pass. They have a new car. Insurance replaces the car. They go through the whole thing, and then a couple weeks later, Jill is at her cafe, and she walks out the back door instead of the front door where the parking lot is. And she sees her car, which has been sitting there for 2 weweeks because she forgot she actually drove that morning to the cafe.
What do you do? I mean, you're like,
And then the whole thing is, well, what do we do? Because they'll think that we did this on purpose and then chickened out. Like what, and they did make good and they fully understood it, but it's like they had like a brand new car they had to give back. It's kind of a drag.
Can you take the old car?
But that
chop
was
it up, sell it across the border?
I would give anything to have just seen the look on her face when it all connected. That looks like my old. Oh my God! I drove and forgot and walked home and thought my car had been stolen.
At least you didn't leave it running.
That would. I have a great story about that. Going to see AC/DC in Louisville in 2010. So from Nashville to Louisville is like a 3-hour drive. And AC/DC's playing. We wanted to go. A couple friends said they'd love to go. And I knew the promoter. And I said, "Hey, we want to go see AC/DC in Louisville. Can you get me like, 8, 10 tickets, whatever it was?" And she's like, "Sure." She goes, "Actually, I'm going to the gig. How are you guys getting there?" And I have a buddy in Nashville who works at one of a tour bus company. And I called him just on a lark. I said, "Hey, man, do you want to go see AC/DC?" And he goes, "Sure." I go, "Well, if I cover the fuel, can you just take us up in a bus? Why don't you drive one of your buses? I got like 8 or 10 people. We'll go up, see the show, drive back." He goes, "Man, are you serious? Let's do it." So for the cost of one bus load of fuel, which is a lot, actually, I underestimated how much that would cost me. But it wasn't too bad because we hardly used all of it. But anyway, so long story short, we get a tour bus to go to Louisville to see AC/DC. It's cool. My kids are going. They got friends with them. It's a whole bunch of us. Our promoter and her daughter, her son, we're all on the bus. We have a good time. On the way to the gig, we stop in Bowling Green, Kentucky to pick up 2 friends of mine from college. I told them, "We got room on the bus. I got 2 tickets." And they're like, "Oh my God, we'll go." And I said, "Meet us we'll be at the mall parking lot at 3 p.m. And they said, "We'll be there." And we pull up in this giant parking lot, and my buddy's sitting in his car, and they jump out, and they're so excited. I mean, we're all adults. We're all in our 40s, but like My buddy Jeff he's never been on a tour bus. He's just
fun.
like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to get on a tour bus and go to see AC/DC. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And so he and Scott jump out. They shut the doors. They jump on the bus. We drive, have a great concert, have fun. We come back through Bowling Green. It's like 1 a.m. when we get there. We pull up next to their car, step off the bus, and his car is still running. He never turned it off. He was so excited. And the keys, it's not like a fob. The key is in the ignition. The car is in neutral, is in park, and it is running. And we are like, dude. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Stone cold sober. This guy doesn't drink, doesn't do any drugs. That's how excited he was to see AC/DC. All right, back to the point. Jeez, man, sorry. I'm a Johnny Tangent today. So speaking of insurance fraud, a couple of guys, college students in Taiwan, figured they could game the system, and they came up with truly a genius idea. They thought, well, there's a claim we could make if one of us suffers from severe frostbite. We could cash in and get some sort of a policy. They were thinking about, they decided, they took out a policy that covered disabilities and injuries and general health. They took out policies from 5 different insurers, and they were hoping they could just make a claim because of frostbite and then take out what would end up being well over $1 million. So they got on their motorcycles and took off in the bitter cold, driving around so that one of the guys would look like he suffered frostbite. And then they got home and thought, well, we got to make it a little better. So one of the 2 guys soaked his legs in dry ice. For
you're not even supposed
hours.
to touch it.
Hours.
No, you're not.
He did indeed become frostbitten, if you will.
Was that a flip of a coin? Do you do the rock, paper, scissors? Whose legs are going in the dry? You're in this together.
Something tells me this whole thing was one smart friend and one dumb friend. Somebody talked someone else into this real easily. Yeah. So yes, he did suffer frostbite in his legs. So severe that he required hospitalization. So severe, both legs under the knee amputated.
Oh, morons.
Yes. He was discharged from the hospital, and so, but still immediately filed insurance claims with all 5 companies. The first one paid him out $7,000. The others were a little suspicious, and they decided to investigate. So remember, the story is we were riding our motorcycles and we got frostbite. So all they did was they looked at the temperature. They're like, what night did this happen? They look at the temperature, and they're like, it wasn't near cold enough to cause frostbite that night. They all talked, all 5 companies, compared notes. They learned about the rest of the failed scheme. Police have been called, and these guys are going to the giant. One of them on his knees, literally.
First of all, this happened in Taiwan. So I'm thinking to myself, my daughter went over to Taiwan. I did some Googling on Taiwan. We had conversations when she got back from her month in Taiwan. It's subtropical in Taiwan, but they have mountains there. Anywhere there's mountains, there's elevation, there's cold weather. Yeah, the winter's very short, very mild, rarely drops down into the teens. And your legs were you put your legs in I'm losing
dry ice.
Dry ice, thank you. Dry ice for 10 hours. They required amputation. I mean, they failed on so many. And then let's not forget that they took out 5 insurance policies, which means 5 insurance companies investigating. One of them's going to get you.
Oh, yeah.
You might get away with it with 1, but one of them is going to get you. You got 5 investigating, because I bet frostbite in Taiwan doesn't come in a lot, especially where both legs have to be amputated.
5 Columbos walk into a room. Oh, yeah, well, hold on. It sounds, sorry about the legs. One last question.
One last question.
One last thing. I couldn't help but notice it was 62 degrees that night. Jeez.
You morons. Well.
We get up awful early here to bring you the KQ Morning Show, and thankfully, some smart folks have come up with the perfect bedtime routine. If you're having trouble getting to sleep at night, we can give you a 6-step plan that will make it perfect for you. And this is the kind of thing, if you show me a headline about sleep and better sleep, I read it every time now. I've never been more concerned with getting sleep. Last night, for the record, in bed at 7:15.
Attaboy.
Yeah, and I'm feeling...
Slept through?
Yeah, feeling pretty good today about it.
Damn, I bet you are.
Shocking but true. The more you sleep, the better you feel. Who knew? A couple of sleep experts came up. Here's a 6-step routine that takes about 30 minutes. But if you can follow this, it's going to help you out. So, okay, here's the thing. 30 minutes before you want to be going to sleep, make a to-do list for the next day.
Stop.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out.
It says just jot stuff down so you don't lie in bed thinking about it. I'm never thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about 20 years from now. I'm thinking about 20 years ago. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. Yeah. My God, what are you, nuts?
See, I tend to dwell on the day. Hot water heater, something stupid I said, porn on the side of the road, whatever. I'm a dweller. How did the meeting go? That's what gets me. So jotting down, first of all, you had me a to-do list out, but all right. So that leaves 5 more. Maybe 5 will get the job done.
All right, 25 minutes before you want to. So that's 30 minutes before bed. Make a to-do list. 25 minutes out. Turn off all your electronics.
I want to. I really do.
Yeah, phone, computer, TV. Here's why. The blue light they give off tricks your body into staying awake. Your brain thinks it's daylight. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's not a tough one for me. I think it's an impossibility for my wife because she gets in bed and there are times I'll be asleep first and then I'll wake up. And you know that first like hour and a half is like great sleep, and you kind of wake up, look at the clock, and I always think it's going to say 4:15 a.m. and it says 10, and you're like, what the hell? And if it's pitch black in the room, I can fall right back asleep. But a lot of times, Rosemary's just right there doing a crossword or something, and I'm like, what? And she'll be like, oh no, it's early, go back to sleep, and I'm like. I've seen the light of her phone, and I'm like, what's happening? What did I miss? Where was the plane crash? Are the kids okay? I mean, my brain immediately goes into that mode. So I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, get the electronics out of the way. 20 minutes before bed, brush your teeth. Here's why. Best time to take makeup off, Zepp, and then also wash your face. But if you do it right before bed, it can actually perk you up. So give yourself 20 minutes between washing your face and brushing your teeth. 15 minutes before bed, take a quick hot shower. What?
That's another one. I've heard this one, and I think it sounds like a great idea. A hot shower, jump in the cold sheets in the wind. Oh, that sounds nice, but,
it's just so much work.
I mean, do we have to do all of these? Are they saying can we just pick a
6-step routine in 30 minutes? Now, number 5, 10 minutes before bed. Use the bathroom.
Yeah, 10 minutes after going to bed. Yeah.
Chances are you won't wake up and have to go in the middle of the night. I mean, you just took a shower. You didn't pee in there? What's wrong with you? And then finally, 5 minutes before bed, simply stop talking. Let your brain start to wind down. Once you get in bed, after this, you've made the to-do list. You've turned off electronics. You've brushed your teeth. You took a quick shower. You've drained the vein. Now you're ready to fall asleep. Just keeping up with the 6 steps in order would wind me up too much.
Yeah, it sounds exhausting. Yeah, having a 6-step routine, you're right, would be daunting. I mean, it's now I'd be like, oh my God, it's getting close to bedtime. I have all those chores I have to do for myself before I go to bed. I'm just going to stick with the 4 beers.
I think just the general, a few beers and then fall asleep with a bag of chips in my lap and I'm drooling a little bit and then I go, I'm still on the couch. I guess I'll get up and go to bed now. That's been working for me since the 80s. I mean, why am I going to change this now?
Yeah, right. In fact, I can't do the beers anymore because of the peeing thing.
No, I don't either.
I drink 4 beers before bed. I will get up 15 times to pee.
And but yeah, how fun is it when I don't know if you guys are at the same place I am in life, but when I drink at all, I can fall right to sleep. But if I wake up, I don't go back to sleep.
Right.
I mean, it's the exact opposite of the young man's experience. If I drink now, I can't sleep to save my life. Which, boy, what a drag.
I know they say the same people that probably put together this impossible 6-step routine for getting to bed at night, they say drinking alcohol is the worst thing you can do to get a good night's sleep, even if you do pass out. Because when we were younger, we'd just drink so much we'd pass out, but you don't get that good quality sleep. That's why you wake up cranky and pissed off 10 hours later even and want to head off for a Bloody Mary. But, yeah, they say don't do that. But I know a lot more people. Of course, they get the prescription for it's right now. You have to have a prescription for marijuana and the edibles, the medicinal marijuana stuff. But I know a lot more people that are microdosing some edibles to get to sleep.
Yeah,
and in fact, it's being prescribed quite often. For me, I just would wake up in a fog. I've tried that before, and with a very mild dose, I didn't feel stoned or anything. Didn't wake up in the middle of the night and fire up some Floyd or anything like that, or Dumb and Dumber on TV. Slept through the night, but then I get up in the morning and it takes me like 5 hours to just sort of come out of that.
God bless people that can do that. I am the total opposite. I'm up.
Oh yeah,
I'm horny. I'm usually ready for something to do, something, thinking about something.
We think we know what that something is. You've already told us you're horny.
I'm stimulated.
Sex dominoes are coming out.
Weed does not make me relax or go to sleep. It stimulates my brain.
Yeah, you're the other type. Yeah, because I have people like that. I would have friends that, we'd all chill out and watch a movie, and then suddenly they're like cleaning the house, or they, want to go bar hopping or something. I'm the other one. I'm the one that's good luck getting me out of the couch. Out of the couch, not off.
I'm afraid to find out what would happen if I got stoned at this stage of the game. It's been a while, and at my most animated, youngest, full of energy self, weed just knocked me out. So right now, I don't think I would exhale before I'd be asleep. I would fall asleep with a lung full of smoke. It'd be that fast. That's how that goes. Zepp, you said "they say" a minute ago, and immediately my brain goes into that "they say" or "you say." Remember that Lisa Loeb song?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Lisa Loeb.
I just read this the other day. Lisa Loeb, she of the glasses and the one huge hit. She still is the only artist to ever have a #1 song in America, which was that song, "You Say You Don't Like Girls Who Wear Glasses," or whatever the lyrics are. That is the only artist to ever go to #1 without a record deal.
No record deal.
She knew Ethan Hawke. He was making a film. He said, "Hey, can I put one of your songs in my movie?" And she said, sure. And she had recorded that song, and it appeared on the soundtrack album she was just her own deal. No label, no nothing. And a couple stations heard it, and they're like, this song's great. And then he filmed the video, which is her with those glasses just looking at the camera. And every dude who ever had a crush on a librarian in high school was like, oh my God, I love her. At no record company, ever. And she had a #1 song. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, just what a weird lightning strike of a career that was. And by the way, Lisa Loeb still outperforming, and she looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
Hasn't aged a day.
It's really strange.
Yeah.
I guess that's the key. Never deal with the record company, and you can live a long and attractive life. Everybody else gets beat down as soon as they try to get a career going because some guy in a suit comes up and tells them what's wrong with them. If you want to stay happy, don't sign a record deal. That's the message. Or just simply be from Finland.
Yeah.
Gallup poll. Happiest people in the world are the Finns. First out of 143 countries. They are just feeling it, man. They've got, they look at all sorts of things like general just contentment with yourself, with your career, with your family. And Finnish people are feeling pretty good. Denmark, #2. Iceland, #3. Sweden, #4. Something about living up north, man.
See, Candace, they embrace it. They've learned to love the cold tundra. Cold air filling your lungs on a icy day. Embrace it. If you can't get out of it, get into it. But yeah, that's weird. All northern countries, huh?
Just move to Florida and be done with it, Candace.
Fine, bye.
I don't think you want to do
that.
The
humidity. No, with that sun, your skin. Somewhere in the middle. Just go in the middle, somewhere in the, I don't know where that's at. There's some place.
The United States comes in at number 23 out of 143. So well above average, but that kind of checks out to me. You know what I mean?
We've got it so good we like to bitch a lot.
Well, that's exactly right. When you've got the world by the balls, you tend to notice the itch.
Yeah.
That's my new. Wait, that's not quite what I'm trying to say, but that sounds like a T-shirt. Maybe that could be a slogan somewhere.
Oh hell, it would sell big, especially in Wisconsin. Because of the truck nuts.
It sounds like a David Lee Roth era Van Halen song. Got the world by the balls down. Then you notice the itch. Yeah, we could make that happen. That's a bit of a stretch. Happy birthday, Tony.
Thanks, kid.
Yeah.
Hey, let's look Let's look at some other stuff that happened on March 21st. Nobody has ever forgotten the greatest moment of Vinko Bogatai's life. Who is he? Well, he was a member of the Yugoslavian ski jumping team. He had a little trouble at the ski flying championships in 1970. Not that anybody was paying attention when it happened, but shortly thereafter, ABC added it to the opening credits of the Wide World of Sports. Wide World of Sports changed out the thrill of victory. In every season, it would be a different thrill of victory. They never changed it away from Vinko. Awesome. He was always the agony of defeat. It was not that agonizing. He suffered a concussion. I don't even have to describe it, do I? I mean, anybody that was ever around for Wide World of Sports knows this guy wiping out while going down the ramp at a ski jump. Yeah, it's as famous as Michael Jordan's last shot of Ali standing over Liston. I mean, it's one of the most famous moments in sports history, thanks to Wide World of Sports putting it on there.
And because it's such a colossal failure, he doesn't leap off and hit on the landing with the bat. He wipes out before he gets off the jump. It's almost like he went, "No, I don't want to do this." You guys ever hear it without the music?
No.
Out of speed in that track. Look out! Look at him go! Oh! Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
That's the call.
I've never heard that. That's incredible.
I love it.
That's amazing. All he got for his efforts was a concussion, amazingly, because if you watch it, you think he's already dead. He's like ragdolling with the force of nature. There's like no control. It's really, really crazy to watch that now. But anyway, he did okay. Had a concussion, went back home, had no idea that he was an icon in the United States until many years later. That must have been a surprise. The biggest screw up of my life, and Americans all know me? Yeah, go figure. Weird.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.